Welcome to America's Day at the Races. It is Gotham Day here in South Ozone Park at Aqueduct. Our program brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Greg Wolf alongside New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling. You can feel that buzz. You can hear it. It's right around us. It is Gotham Day, big one, as we're back on the road to the Triple Crown here in New York.
You and I are so excited that we demanded to Fox that we came on about a minute or two early. We said, it's Gotham Day, guys. We want a little extra time. I know. The Gotham is always such a fun race here. It has such a tremendous history. Great horses winning in the past. And for me, especially at Naira and us working together, it's a harbinger of spring. It's not quite spring, but we're close to getting there. And it really feels like a time that horses are starting to ship up and the Triple Crown Trail comes to Aqueduct.
And this year's edition, this is a really intriguing group that's going to line up. There's some star potential. And a few horses that warrant a big look in here. One of them, of course, is Morello. It's our ABR race of the week. He comes in with a perfect record, 2 for 2. Showed a lot more professionalism in that second start after he didn't break all that great in his debut, but still won. Jimmy Wingfield broke a lot better. Got a big number, too.
I agree. I misjudged him, Greg, off his debut. You were more high on him than I was, and boy, were you right. He was terrific last time. Did he have a good trip? Yes, he did. But he's in a position where he may get another very good trip here as well. And the reality is that he's good. Now, there are some nice horses in this race, but he's posted well on the outside. He has the speed to put himself in position, and I think all of these horses are seeing where they stand. Are they horses that stretch out and are affecting the Triple Crown races? Or are they more Woody Stevens, Alan Jerkins type sprinters?
Son of the 2-year-old champ, Classic Empire. Toby Sheets, Steve Asmussen's main assistant here in New York, said, take it for what it's worth. The gallop out, he loved the way he galloped out and thought extra distance for him would not be a problem at all.
I thought the 8th pole to the finish was pretty darn good too, Greg.
It was.
So I'm sold. And listen, we came up here and we got hats from the connections. They're trying to butter us up, I think. I'm not wearing mine on the show. It did, right. We're available up here if you guys want to bring us gifts.
Named after they're big fans of the guitarist Tom Morello, Audio Slave, Rage Against the Machine, who if you've not heard him too, you got to check him out. One of the great guitarists. Rolling Stone named him one of the 100 greatest guitarists of all time. A little more reason to root for this horse if you're a fan of Tom Morello. He's got talent. We'll see. Another big step forward. Can he take it today? 50 points on the line to get into that starting gate for the Derby. Dean's List, though, is a quick horse. He's probably going to have to try and run down in here, who's 2 for 2 for Todd Pletcher.
Listen, he's fast. And anybody that wants to try to run with this guy early, woe unto them. Whether or not he can stretch out, whether or not he can bring that form from Gulfstream up to New York are all the questions that need to be answered today. But the quality of his performances are not in doubt. The horse who's finishing second to him in this stretch duel came back with a very strong second to another good Todd Pletcher horse in the Swale. He's running in the Fountain of Youth. This guy is good. He's fast, but is he better than Morello at a mile?
Going to be fun to watch these two go at it. There's a lot of other interesting runners in the race, too, that we'll talk about as we get closer to that Grade 3 Gotham. Again, 50 points to the winner to get into that starting gate for Saturday in May. Here's today's action presented by Claiborne Farm. We'll see the 3-year-old fillies on the road to the Kentucky Oaks before we get to that Gotham Radio Days. Trying to get back into the winner's circle. Beat for the first time in her 3-year-old debut for Shug McGahee, and plenty of action ahead on a great card in Hot Springs, Arkansas from Oaklawn. We'll have the Down the Dusty Road Breeders to kick things off coming up in a moment. You can play it all by getting signed up and started with Naira Bets. $200 deposit match sign-up bonus for new members. The code to use to take advantage of that. Bonus 200. Punch that in at NairaBets.com or download that NairaBets app to get involved. Let's head to Hot Springs. 6-furlong sprint fillies and mares to kick things off here, and that is Connie K. John Court will ride for trainer Randy Morse, and John Court, 61 years old, having a tremendous meet. The ageless wonder said Randy Morse told him have a ton of confidence last time out because this filly really has just turned a corner, and she proved it in that win last out.
Look, she did. I mean, her race before it at Churchill in November was nice. The last performance was huge. I think one thing, though, you have to ask, and I understand the trainer had confidence, but that was a wet sealed track. So is she going to be as effective on a dry track? I am shocked that she is the heavy favorite in this race. Didn't you expect Kaboom Baby to be favored here? She's been running against open company and running pretty darn well.
Yeah, she has. Pace-wise, though, and there she is, the 8, 2-1 right now. She's up against it a little bit, isn't she? And there's not a ton of pace in the race. It looks like Connie K. I guess Hillary G maybe next door can try and pressure.
Mean, I suppose you have to think Ricardo Santana's going to go a little with Unbridled Twister as well. None of these horses are fast. I mean, we're talking about horses that can be forward, but I don't know if they're that fast.
Here's Richness. We'll kick off our post parade. Tom Swearingen trains, trying to win 3 in a row.
I mean, she's in great form, Greg. This is a step up for her, but her recent form is terrific.
Here's Ricardo Santana Jr., aforementioned, on Unbridled Twister.
Yeah, she's going to have to. I know she won easily last time, but this is a big step up.
Star Garita, 5-year-old mare. She tried Unbridled Twister last start to no avail.
If you have her and she wins in the cross-country pick 5, you'll be looking at a potentially big payout.
Biggest price on the board in this field of 8. David Cohen will ride. Even money favorite, here she is, Connie K with John Court.
I would never bet, I won't be surprised, I would never bet a horse like this at even money off of a race that is better than she's ever run before on a sealed racetrack. I'm not buying it.
Hillary G. David Cabrera for Tom Vance.
Her race 2 back at Lone Star was good. Her races, though, at Oaklawn Park, Greg, just aren't good enough.
Robert Klein, trainer of the 6th Lady Astrid, he believes she has a chance. She's a very small little filly, daughter of Mo for the money.
Well, you got to believe. I don't.
Beat the Mary Rose 2 back. Very nice horse.
She's huge her next start.
Too Pretty. Francisco Arrieta, leading rider at the meet.
You know me, I'm a sucker for turnbacks, and her last race wasn't that bad, but overall she's probably not good enough, but she's my long shot to use.
And you talked about Kaboom Baby coming out of Open Company. Luis Quinones rides.
I won't be surprised if she's favored by post time. I do think she's the horse to beat in here. I'm going to go with her more established form on fast tracks.
5 minutes away. Race will kick off the late pick 5 sequence here at Oaklawn Park. Down the dusty road, breeders. You could play along, compete against friends and the rest of the people watching the program with our showdown contest. Free to enter. You're competing for real prizes, not to mention bragging rights. Go to NYRA.com/showdown to get involved. We have a Hall of Famer on the scene with more from Hot Springs. Let's check in with Gary Stevens.
Guys, beautiful day in Hot Springs, Arkansas at Oaklawn Park today. Huge crowd out here, a lot of action. The infield's open for the very first day of this meet. These fillies were brought out to the infield for the jockeys to be mounted up. They all behaved themselves very well. But I'm going to start out today just disagreeing, as I do, with Andy a little bit about Connie K. Connie K, I think, just has an affinity for this racetrack. And you find a horse that likes this track, they love this racetrack. She's won on a fast racetrack here once before when she broke her maiden clear back in April of last year. She did beat Open Company, although it was a starter allowance 50 at Churchill Downs, putting back-to-back wins, including her first start as a 4-year-old. And I think that the reason for all the improvement with the speed figure that she came back could very well be because she matured from her 3-year-old to her 4-year-old year. And yes, she does like it here at Hot Springs and Oaklawn Park. She's got Johnny Cord, who's been riding phenomenally, especially in the bigger races here. He's found a way to get it done, even at his age 61. He looks like he's 22 riding right now. So looking forward to an exciting afternoon. This is down the dusty road for the fillies. The no double coming up in the 9th race, 3 races down the road. That's for Colts. We're going to get to see Garhole, another horse that has an affinity for this track. He's lost only 1 race in his small career so far, guys.
Gary, thanks. Yeah, that's coming up later in the card. That'll be race 9 when the boys go. And Garhole, he's been exciting for Shortleaf Stable. And trainer John Ortiz, he'll try and win 4 in a row this afternoon.
I think that he's your favorite horse that we've seen all winter.
I am excited about him.
When he ran, before he ran 2 races back, you were really, or is it she? You were really touting. It's him. You were really touting him to me that day, and I don't think he was favored. He was co-favored, and he could not have been more impressed in those races. I am going to keep disagreeing with Gary. I don't believe in that. Loves the racetrack. The first race that Connie K ran, while he won quite easily, it wasn't a particularly fast race. Maybe he is improving. I think that is a very good point by Gary. Maybe he's a horse that's turning a corner from 3 to 4. I think that's an excellent point. And I'm not saying that Connie K can't win. I just think that she is really overbet based on her performance on a wet sealed track. Wet sealed tracks are tricky. It's not moisture sometimes that horses don't handle, as we've seen. It's sealed tracks that horses sometimes struggle on, and sometimes horses love them. She may win. I prefer the 8 who has that established form.
Live look here at some 3-year-old fillies coming into the paddock for the Busher Invitational on the road to this year's Kentucky Oaks. This race as well, points earning race to get into that starting gate for the Oaks the first Friday in May. And the odds-on favorite, we'll get back to it in a bit. Radio days for Shug McGahee, daughter of Gunrunner. Very impressive. First 2 starts of her career. broke poorly in her 3-year-old debut, and she was in chase mode from the outset when she got beat.
Yeah, I mean, listen, both of you and I picked this horse, and I agree she's the horse to beat. The horses that she ran with last time did not run particularly well in the Valona Dale, I believe, earlier today at Gulfstream. I don't really care that much about that. I'm not surprised she's around 4 to 5. I think the biggest surprise looking at that board, and I don't like her, there is no respect for Magic Circle.
Yeah,
you think she'd be the second longest
like
shot on the board?
She's going to be the pace in the race, cutting back in distance, stakes winner of the Busanda. She's the 5 in here for Rudy Rodriguez, 7 to 1 right now.
Yeah, that is a surprise. I mean, I'm trying to beat her, but as the lone speed in this race, she's a bit dressed up by the racetrack. A mile's a better distance for her than 9 furlongs. I know Venti Valentine ran better than she did in the Demoiselle when they met, but at a mile, maybe that'll help Magic Circle. I do think they have to beat Radio Days, but I'm just shocked looking at this board, the lack of respect for this filly.
Especially with the kind of meet that her trainer is having, Rudy Rodriguez, just about everything he's sending out is been live. Kendrick Carmouche will be aboard, and you got to think if she's out in front and she expects to be, she's going to be plenty fit to be able to last that mile.
Right. I mean, listen, she rode a gold rail last time. It kind of dressed her up. She had a good trip in the Demoiselle, but that doesn't take away from the fact that she's run some good races. She was just behind Jerry Mander and ahead of Nest, who's a nice filly for Todd Pletcher when she ran in the Tempted. I just thought she'd be the second choice in here and thought I'd play against her at that point. If somebody said to me she's actually going to be 5 or 6 to 1, and she may not be by post time, I would have picked her second.
And yeah, I mean, there's no world that anyone would have thought the New York bred filly Sterling Silver, that too, would have been a shorter price than her.
No, and very possibly by post she won't be. But right now the board is askew.
Back to Oaklawn. Again, the late pick 5. It starts in this down the dusty road. Down the dusty road, of course, Arkansas bred that won the Grade 1 La Brea back in 2006.
I got that yesterday. I know. Actually, I've got a little help from my friend Steve Bick. We had been talking about Down the Dusty Road the other day. I believe she was owned by the Zayats when she won that race, actually. They didn't originally have her. Originally, Michael Matz trained her, and then she was brought out to California. She has a nice resume. It's nothing close to the resume of the other horse that a stake is named for. I mean, no doubles, the greatest Archie bred of all time.
Incredible.
Right?
2-time champion, and a horse who was the leading sire as well when he went off to stud in North America.
I'm old. I remember when he was a good sire.
Connie Kay, can she go back-to-back to kick off her 4-year-old campaign? She'll break from post 4 with 61-year-old John Court in the irons. It's the Down the Dusty Road. Let's go to Vic Stauffer for the call.
They're at the post. They're off. Unbridled Twister and Connie Kay. Break fast. Too Pretty and Hillary G are close up. These 4 across the track. Then comes Richness, followed by Lady Astrid. The 2 trailers are Star Garita and Kaboom Baby. Connie Kay, no easy lead for her. She's got pressure from both sides. Hillary G alongside to the outside and Unbridled Twister at the rail. Connie Kay just ahead in front. Too Pretty is 4 deep and 4th and a length and a half off the lead. Richness has 5 lengths to make up. Kaboom Baby is 6 off the lead, but moving up. Here's Kaboom Baby in the green and yellow within 4.5 of the front. 3 back to Lady Astrid and Star Garita. Connie Kay is the leader. Top of the stretch in the 14th Down the Dusty Road Breeders' Stakes. Connie Kay, Hillary G in a 4 wide, Too Pretty. 2.5 to Unbridled Twister. Then Kaboom Baby. Connie Kay has had to work all the way around the racetrack, and she leads only by a half length from Too Pretty. Unbridled Twister running a good one. Hillary G is next, but now Connie Kay is hand-ridden away by John Court, and now she's 2 in front. Unbridled Twister is after her. Connie Kay leads. Unbridled Twister getting closer. Connie Kay, Unbridled Twister, Connie Kay. The 14th Down the Dusty Road Breeders' Stakes goes to Connie Kay over Unbridled Twister. It's close for 3rd between Richness and Too Pretty.
Connie Kay, she had to battle some early heat in here and able to hang on late, hold off this 2 Unbridled Twister.
Yeah, Unbridled Twister was the one battling her on the inside early in the race, and she kind of backed out of there and came around and took a tough beat. But Connie Kay continues her winning race, and she's won 3 straight. And nothing at all from Kaboom Baby, by the way. What a pretty good
that
trip
was
in there.
disappointing.
She was bad.
Busher is coming up next on the road to the Kentucky Oaks in Radio Days. There she is, the expensive daughter of Gunrunner, trying to pick up the first stakes win of her career and the first win of her 3-year-old campaign for Shug McGahee in the Allen stable.
Charlatan is back, and he turns it on with 1/8 of a mile to go. Express Train moves into second. Nashville dropping out of it, and then Collusion Illusion. What a spectacular return for Charlatan, who will romp in the run-happy Malibu Stakes by 4.5 emphatic lengths. Charlatan, ultra impressive.
It's a new day for a new king.
As they move down for the 8th pole, it is Miss Brazil challenged here on the outside by Search Results, and it's a battle in the stretch here in the Busher. Now is 16th to the finish. Miss Brazil on the inside, Search Results on the outside. The two of them fight on to the finish, and Search Results wins it by a neck at the end.
That was last year's Busher winner, Search Results. We had some great stretch stools last year. Probably the Belmont Stakes topped the list for most people. Kentucky Oaks in her battle with Malathot was not far behind.
No, it was an incredible stretch duel. I would have preferred that she came out on top, but it was a great stretch duel. And listen, she's a terrific filly. She really should have been one of the finalists for 3-year-old filly of the year because, of course, not only did she win this race, she won the Gazelle. She was second to the champion Malathot in the Oaks, and she won our Acorn. Hasn't run since the test. She is training very well. I think we'll see her at Keeneland. There was some talk of her running in the Heavenly Prize, which we ended up not running today. I think it's being run tomorrow, but I think she'll be back at Keeneland.
Busher, Gazelle wins, and then nearly pulled off the Kentucky Oaks last year. Well, we got some talented fillies in this year's group. Here's the road to the Oaks. Busher today, and then the Grade 3 Gazelle, April 9th, worth 100 points. That gets you in that starting gate as well. Most believe, wow, 1-2 favorite that Radio Days is a cinch, it would appear, from the betting board.
I think, you and I are both people that prices have a big factor on who we would pick and who we would bet on. I think we anticipate her being around even money. There is a significant difference between even money and 1-2. Those odds may change. Was this a disappointing effort? I don't know. She ran the fastest buyer speed figure she ever ran. Maybe she just ran to a horse that ran out of her skin that day. I don't know.
It's a filly who's won 3 in a row. She did get to Cruise Gate to wire for the win. A Brad Cox filly, Girl with a Dream, who you see Radio Days chasing, unable to get to. She did break last in this race, and from the outset kind of had to chase. Does she need to break sharper today?
It's never good to get left a little bit, right? You don't want to spot horses at all. So, yeah, you want to break well. The outside post is a good position for her, but you don't want to get left.
2-5.
This is absurd. She's got to drift up from here.
Shotgun Hottie just won the Ruthless for Bill Morey last start.
They were inferior horses, but man, was she visually impressive winning that race with a crazy wide trip.
New York bred filly. She's won 2 in a row. She's undefeated.
Yeah, they skipped the New York bred race last weekend to take a shot in this race. It's ambitious.
Daughter of Cupid. Here's Venti Valentine, Manny Franco for Jorge Abreu.
I think there's a lot of things to like about this filly. She covered 34 more feet than Magic Circle did when she beat her in the Demoiselle.
The one we expect to be leading the way, Kendrick Carmouche aboard Magic Circle.
Is she a little dressed up by the racetrack and trips in her last 2? Yeah, but they're both 9-furlong races, and she's better going shorter. This is a crazy price.
And 1-2 on radio days, trying to get the first stakes win of her career.
I'm not picking against her. At this price, I'd rather book her than bet her. She's the horse to beat. We'll see. I don't hold the fact that she lost against her because she still ran a winning race. She just ran to a horse that ran a little bit better that day.
So Venti Valentine, there's a look at her. 7-2 Manny Franco for Jorge Abreu, beat by Nest, who was very impressive coming back for Pletcher in the Suncoast, her 3-year-old debut. Let's bring in Jonathan Kinchin. JK, some points races on the road to the Oaks here in Derby coming up.
It's always fun this time of year. You get a little excited about the first Saturday and first Friday in May, and a lot of times we focus on the Derby, but let's not forget about the fillies. Nice build-up for this. Look, I think the horse Radio Day is the 6th. On paper, everything about her, she's the one you want, the most likely winner. And like Andy and you were talking, Wolfie, it's the price that's the issue here. I think she is just a tad too short if you're looking for a win betting proposition. Now, it's the type of horse you can single in multi-race bets. You can get creative with kind of pressing and exactas, but looking at the board right now, I would like to say the 4, Venti Valentine, makes a ton of sense. This is a horse that's not too far off from a speed figure standpoint of what she was running as a 2-year-old. And if you compare that to what Radio Days ran in February of her 3-year-old year, you'd like to think that Venti Valentine could make another step forward and could be competitive against Radio Days. And at the price, I would much rather pay 7-2 to find out which one of those situations was going to happen. I'm going to pick the 4, Venti Valentine.
There's opportunities on this board anytime you have a horse getting bet like this, like Radio Days is. There's value elsewhere.
Yeah, and there's Magic Circle on the rail. Venti Valentine between horses. That's Nest on the outside. This is the Demoiselle. I mean, Nest ran the best race, covered a ton more ground, but Venti Valentine covered 4 more feet on track. She was interfere with the stretch. She's won at a mile. I don't disagree with Jonathan. She's an overlay at 4-1 right now. And, you know, you and I were talking a little bit off camera before about the racetrack. I don't know if the racetrack's playing in any significant way. I think you and I think it's a possibility. I think some of the riders are running that way. Maybe speed isn't the best way to go. You know what? You know what that means going to happen? The 5's going to wire the field.
We'll see. Does it spell trouble for Magic Circle, or is she going to break through in the front end? Let's head downstairs and check in with Richard Migliori.
Thanks, Greg. Just a classy group of 3-year-old fillies here. Really nice race, this edition of the Busher. The 2-horse Sterling Silver, 2 for 2. Filly trained by Tommy Albatrani, a trainer whose horses get better with racing. He doesn't crank them up to win first time. So the fact that she has run so well in her first 2 starts, I do think she's got a forward move in her. We'll see if it's good enough to compete here. The 4, Venti Valentine, ultimately will be my top selection. This filly has grown up a great deal since her races as a 2-year-old, which were very good races. I really like what I'm seeing from her. She came together. Just all the puzzle pieces started to fit better. I talked with her trainer, Jorge Abreu, and he was talking about how well she was working at Palm Meadows. He actually had Irad Ortiz work her a few times, and he said he thinks she possibly could need a race, but from my perspective, looking at her, and most trainers always feel that way with horses coming off a layoff, she looks fit, she looks ready to go, and a filly that has matured a great deal. Magic Circle looks terrific. All of Rudy's horses are well turned out, and she's fast and a much bigger price than I thought she would be, and I think she'll appreciate the turn back to a mile. And Radio Days is the horse to beat, no doubt about that. She's 2-5, and I can't give you anything negative, only positives. I think a real competitive Busher, though, guys. I'm really looking forward to it, and a big crowd down here by the paddock and the rail watching these 3-year-old fillies get ready to throw it down.
Well, we'd expect nothing less on a big day like this on Gotham Day. You can follow along from home, wherever you may be, with the stats of the horses, trainers, and jockeys by going to NYRA.com/TV schedule and get your free Equibase past performances for all the races on today's program. We talked briefly about that New York bred filly, the daughter of Cupid, Sterling Silver, earlier. There she is, 5-1. Tom Albertrani trains. put her into the winner's circle in her debut, and then she beats New York Bred Stakes Company in start number 2. We talked about it earlier, talking horses. She's got a great trip in the race, but she has some ability.
She rode a strong bias, no doubt about it, and I think it dressed her performance. The horse she beat came back and didn't run well subsequently, but I can't blame Tom Albertrani for taking a chance. It's kind of put up or shut up time, right? Fillies for the Kentucky Oaks, Colts for the Kentucky Derby. You take your shot. She isn't good enough to be good here, so they missed a small New York Bred Stake race last week, which, by the way, was won by a pretty good horse, so she may have had trouble in there anyway. So, you know, it's okay to take your shot. I think it's ludicrous that she's the same price as Magic Circle. I don't think that makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm with you. And you look at what's the biggest aberration on the board. Is it her being 5-1, Magic Circle, or Radio Days being 1-2? You can have an argument either way. Magic Circle, we expect to be leading the way. This was her Bersanda win, going further at 1 1/8.
She obviously was helped by a racetrack which was extremely helpful to horses that had inside position, inside speed. Having said that, Rudy Rodriguez, her trainer, has even said, and I agree with him for what it's worth, that she's probably better at a mile than 9 furlongs. So this is her first start back in what? Almost 2 months. She gets a mile and 1/8 race under her belt. Is strengthened her. Yeah, is it a little, not quite as good as it looks on paper? Yeah, but doesn't it set her up well for this race? And once again, I don't love her, but it's 6-1. I mean, I don't get this. I really don't get this, Greg. I don't understand why this horse is so cold on the board.
So much love for this filly right here in those green and white silks of the Allen stable. Big pedigree, $750,000 daughter of Gunrunner. The dam produced pretty good one on the grass. Bowie's Hero.
California horse, good horse.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice.
$1.5 million, grade 1 winner on the turf.
I don't think they'll be looking to go to the turf, though it is funny with fillies. I mean, they don't lose value running the turf the same way Colts do. Once again, I marry the horse I pick. We make picks well in advance. But I'll tell you what, I would have no problem betting on the 4 or 5 in this race at their respective odds of 5-1 and 6-1. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that the 4 is the same price as the 2, and it's even more ridiculous that the 5 is a bigger price than the 2. Yeah. From that guide, right? This is kind of wacky.
Back to a point you touched on earlier. We don't know, and we're not saying there is any sort of bias today, but a lot of speed horses today have not sealed the deal. That's what the point we were trying to make.
Yeah, but some of them have run winning races. They just haven't quite gotten there. It's tricky, you know, and I don't, we'd have to look at it more. The early races were dominated by speed horses. I tell you what, I'll be surprised if Magic Circle loses because the track played against her. The 6 horse to beat, it's just too short a price.
2-5, Radio Days, the one to beat in the Busher on the road to the Kentucky Oaks. Let's go upstairs. Johnny and Brielle, the call.
And they're off. It is Magic Circle who is sent out for the early lead. Radio Days is right there on the outside, and Venti Valentine is up close. Then a break of 1.5 lengths to Sterling Silver and Shotgun Hottie in 5th. And the 3-year-old fillies cross over now from the chute to the main track, with Magic Circle setting the pace and leading by 3/4 length. The big favorite, Radio Days, is on the outside in 2nd, and there goes Long Shot, Shotgun Hottie, down at the rail to take 3rd. Venti Valentine is in 4th, and Sterling Silver is in 5th. The quarter went in 24 1/5 seconds. Magic Circle, the leader here by 3/4 length. Radio Days on the outside remains in 2nd. Venti Valentine has now moved up on the outside of Radio Days. Shotgun Hottie is in behind down towards the rail, and Sterling Silver is the trailer. The leader is still Magic Circle. The lead is a neck. Radio Days is in between horses. Venti Valentine on the outside. Opening half mile in 48 seconds as they round the far turn. It is Magic Circle, Radio Days, and Venti Valentine. 3 of them across the track as they come for the head of the stretch. It is Magic Circle and Venti Valentine, and now Radio Days is back running in 3rd. The field heads for home in the Busher. And it is Magic Circle and Venti Valentine, and the 2 of them are heads apart, and here's Venti Valentine now to grab the lead. Magic Circle is back running in 2nd. Then Radio Days, Shotgun Hottie is down at the rail. It is Venti Valentine in front and drawing away here. Venti Valentine in front as they come on for the finish. A decisive winner of the Busher Invitational Stakes. Venti Valentine, then Shotgun Hottie and Magic Circle.
A little erratic in the stretch, but when she straightened out, she put this field away. Another New York bred, Venti Valentine, with a win in the Busher.
I mean, she absolutely buried this field. This was a very, very impressive performance by her. She stalked. There were 3 across the track. Magic Circle had nothing at the end. It was actually run down with a long shotgun hottie. I mean, Radio Days broke well. She put herself in the race. She had absolutely nothing in here. It's a very poor performance by her, but Venti Valentine. Congrats to Manny Franco, Jorge Abreu, and the connections of this horse, New York Final Furlong Racing Stable.
5-1 on Venti Valentine. Let's go back to the beginning of this race. Radio Days broke a lot better this time.
Maybe she needs to get left. She was awful. She had absolutely no excuse whatsoever. Venti Valentine, she tracked, she put herself in position. Manny got her the outside. She was a very, very impressive winner of this race. This is a nice effort by her. You have to imagine they'll be going on the Gazelle in her next race.
She'll get 1 1/8 in that race in a final prep for the Kentucky Oaks. Started to veer out a little bit after that left-handed crop from Manny Franco, but then straightens out and just buries this field.
And she was a massive overlay in here at 5-1. This was a race, and listen, we said it before the race. They were overbetting the 6. I'm surprised she ran as badly as she did, but this horse should not have been 5-1 in here.
Venti Valentine shotgun hottie winds up second in here at 22-1. The other gun runner.
Well, she had that trip last time. She got a great ride from Eric Cancel today, by the way. Never left the rail, picked up the pieces for second. Venti Valentine, though, nice performance by her. 139.65. We'll see how fast the Gotham goes to compare it. We saw maidens in the second race today, 3-year-olds. Those were colts, but they went 139.59. Colts and geldings, I should say.
Jorge Abreu, New York Final Furlong Racing, Manny Franco, and a daughter of Firing Line, New York bred filly, has punched her ticket to the Kentucky Oaks. We'll see what happens with her in her next start. That'll, of course, be the final test, but she's got the points to get there should Connections choose. Next, it's the road to the Kentucky Derby with the Grade 3 Gotham. We'll be back on America's Day at the Races right after this.
A Grade 1 winner of nearly $2 million, Silver State hails from the sire line of legendary Claiborne stallion Danzig. And his second dam is full sister to Kentucky Derby winner Monarchos. After winning the Oaklawn Handicap, Silver State defeated Knicks Go in the Grade 1 Metropolitan Handicap. On the board in 12 of 14 starts from ages 2 to 4, his career included a 6-race winning streak. Grade 1 winner Silver State, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
And shotgun hottie. Oh, it's a photo finish. Is early voting, who was on top right from the start. And early voting wins the Withers. Wire to wire. God-eyed. And he's going to win the 117th running of the hopeful.
Echo Zulu wins the NetJets Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies by 5.5 lengths.
3 Chimneys, where dreams are born.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
You're watching America's Day at the Races on FS2. Good to have you with us on Gotham Day here in New York. Program brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. What you saw a New York bred filly take the Busher Invitational on the road to this year's Kentucky Oaks. Jorge Abreu, Manny Franco, and New York Final Furlong Racing team up.
And they've got a few people out here for the race.
Yes, they do. That is a crowded winner's circle. Crowdest of the year, no question.
I mean, there's more people in the paddock than I've seen in the paddock area. This one, look at this. Looking at another shot. She bore out a little in the stretch. First start, maybe a little green. You have to be impressed by this horse, Greg. She's run well every single time. You know, I remember watching her debut. I think you and I were on together. She came from the clouds that day to win, and nobody else was closing. Impressive win in the slop on New York Bred Showcase Day. Her Demoiselle was a winning effort against a very nice filly in Nest. And now this performance, they got points to get to Kentucky Oaks, and you got to think they're expecting to go, and they better have a lot of tickets.
Yeah, they'll need them. You have an Oaks or Derby contender, that winner's circle picture gets crowded, as you saw. $12.60 for the win. And look, this was her 3-year-old debut. Obviously, she's taken a bit of a move forward here, and there's still progression to come. Got to be encouraged.
No, I mean, this was a very solid performance. You know, I compared her to that maiden race in the second race. Don't think because she ran a comparable time to maiden second race, it's a bad performance. Those maidens may have run buyers of around 90. This was a tremendous performance to start her year. A lot of big things to come from this filly. We've already seen she can get a mile and eighth. So, I mean, there's no reason not to be extremely, extremely excited.
Let's take a look at the cross-country Pick 5 follow-along this afternoon. It began with a race at Tampa Bay. We're 3 legs in. Supply Chain began it at even money. Connie K, short price as well. And that Down the Dusty Road Breeders. And now Venti Valentine.
Well,
bit of an upset at 5-1.
She's going to blow it up a little bit. I mean, having the favorite lose there will blow it up after a couple of chalks.
Making it even more crowded downstairs. Richard Migliori getting the winning interview.
Victory by Ricky Gonzalez.
Florida to give a little break. Work the first time.
We apologize for these technical difficulties.
I think the big crowd in there, I think once they saw the MiG, they probably went crazy down there. I don't think it's technical. He's probably been mobbed by all those people.
He's probably signing autographs.
I mean, come on. It's the MiG and a crowd like that.
All right, we got him back. Let's head back down to MiG.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Again, I just was saying how you were worried about her maybe being a little bit short, but she was ready to go, obviously. Great job. What did you think about her performance?
Well, you know, when I saw Manny taking the outside, at first I was a little concerned because I thought he was going to stay inside, but then I saw him loaded up in the outside, and I said, we're good. Turning for home, I know we were home free.
Now, we were talking before the race, and I was saying how I thought she really matured a lot. It looks like all the puzzle pieces started getting together. You think that's a fair assessment?
It is, you know, and that's something that I saw in Florida when I took her over there. Like when she turned 3 around beginning of February, I could see her filling in and more stronger and everything. Her rear end was just more stronger and powerful. So,
congratulations, great job, guys.
Great feeling to be on that path to a race like the Kentucky Oaks, and Jorge Abreu, he is on that path, no question.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no reason they shouldn't be really excited. When Lucas's horse looks terrific down
Secret
at Oaklawn.
Oath, yeah.
Right. Echo Zulu, I don't think she's not riding the Kentucky Oaks. I mean, we haven't seen her yet. She's getting a little too late for that, in all likelihood. Who else is she supposed to be afraid of? That might be one of the second best performance overall that we've seen from a 3-year-old filly so far. I think they should be extremely excited.
Got the Gotham to come on the road to the Kentucky Derby next. Boys' turn coming up at a mile here at Aqueduct. And it's our ABR race of the week. And look who's opened up at even money. Morello for Steve Asmussen, Jose Lezcano, and Blue Line Thoroughbreds.
Well, we buried Radio Days. Hopefully we won't bury Morello. This is not a horse that's supposed to be even money, but I don't think either one of us are surprised that he's under 2 to 1.
Big effort in that Jimmy Winkfield. Looks so much more professional. But yeah, this is a ton of attention on this horse. Very short price. We'll talk more about the Gotham when we come back. Race with a very rich history. The great Dr. Fager. First start back from a virus as a 3-year-old came in the Gotham. Wind up passing on the Derby, heading to the Withers instead that year. The great Secretariat, of course, tried new tactics in the Gotham. Sent to the front, an easy goer. Set a stakes and track record. He won by 13 lengths. We'll be back.
Spun to Run. In the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, he defeated a loaded field that included multiple Grade 1 winners Omaha Beach and Improbable. His brilliant speed figures were among the fastest of any 3-year-old at a mile or more. And he hails from the legendary Danzig sire line. Multiple graded stakes winner, millionaire, Breeders' Cup champion, spun to run, standing at Gainesway.
It's Devil His Due in a real tussle here with Lure. They straighten away into the stretch, and on the outside, Devil His Due has taken a short lead. Lure is bravely battling back toward the inside. They're leg-weary but brave as they pass the 8th pole inseparably. Farther back, Best Decorated is third. It's still Lure and Devil His Due slugging it out for the entire mile of the Gotham, and it's going to be a head bob. Here's the line, and it's a photo finish. Lure and Devil His Due under the line together in the Gotham.
Well, before Lure became a Hall of Famer for his exploits on the turf, dead heated on the Triple Crown Trail in the Gotham, and he had a rough trip on the inside.
He was hurt a little bit inside right there. Could have been an inquiry. I was actually here that day, Greg. I saw so many of these great Gothams. This was really a race for the ages. The 1981 Gotham and the duel between Proud Appeal and Cure the Blues, and the 1992 Gotham, the duel between these two. And, you know, Lure is a very good dirt horse, a great, great, great turf horse. Devil Is Due, what did he win? $4 million in his career? $3 million?
Going to win the Wood, but of course he really came into his own as a 4- and 5-year-old. Dead heat in that 1992 edition of the Gotham. This year's edition, we have a 6-5 favorite on the board right now in Morello, who's undefeated. We've talked a lot about him already in this program here. Jimmy Winkfield winner, and now kind of you like the progression too. Started at 6 furlongs, 7, and now trying to get a mile.
Right. I mean, this is the series used to be the Swift, the Bayshore, the Gotham, and the Wood Memorial, 6, 7, a mile, and a mile and an eighth. Things have changed, but this is a very good starting point for horses to get towards the Derby and these horses. And we'll see where Morello goes. Are they Derby horses? We have some other big grade ones if they're not, but he's good.
Let's get to Oaklawn. Race 7 starts their pick 4. It's a $50,000 maiden claiming sprint, 6 furlongs, and here's Treaty.
Coming off the claim for Robertino Diodoro. Did win a race yesterday, though. He has been in a cold streak.
Public record. Took a little bit of money for this condition in the debut.
Yeah, but it's Steve Asmussen, and he did no running.
Driven One drops in class.
I'm betting this horse at 10-1. I like the drop from maiden special to maiden claimer.
John Court, can he go back-to-back? He's an aristocrat.
He'll have to improve to get the job done.
Waiting to see him. The 4 is Court. There he is, the son of Speitster. Second off the claim for the barn of Tim Martin. One everyone's betting we'll see next here. And Captured Dream, the 6, is 3-2. Faced easier first time out.
Yeah, is he really a 3-2 shot on paper? I mean, he's one of the worst that can win, but he doesn't look like an overlay to me.
Cole Spur We see next David Cabrera, Ron Moquette.
I like the cutback on this horse, and I know he was claimed from Brad Cox. He didn't run in his first race with a claim. His race 2 back's good enough to win here.
Popster, he missed by a neck in the mud 2 starts ago.
He's a little on the slow side going off the claim for a trainer who does not have great numbers off the claim with maidens.
17-1 on him. Francisco Arrieta meets leading rider aboard. Euler, Mike Maker off the claim. He claimed him off of Asmussen.
Yeah, turn back with maidens of the claim 2 for 5. I actually thought this horse would be favored, thought should be favored. I think he's the horse to beat.
And Wesleyan outside at 23-1.
I ran well out of town. He was a disaster shipping here, but if you went to Wesleyan, you're jumping in for the 23-1. So I should probably call my sister.
Distant third, it was just a 5-horse field out west in a maiden special weight going a mile. Let's go to Jonathan. Your thoughts here, JK, on the 7th.
Yeah, look, I thought this was a tough spot. I mean, the 6 Uncaptured Dream, when I looked at it early and I saw a 9-2 morning line, I thought, oh, this is a horse I could probably get into. But, man, at 8-5, and it was 3-2, 8-5, obviously a little bit better. This doesn't feel like a horse that you can really trust. I will say this. Horse did take a little bit of money on debut for maiden 30. Now is up in class, has to face a little bit of better, but did run well, got a nice speed figure, didn't have a perfect trip that day, first time out. So I do understand why they're betting this horse, but it's a tad short for me. But the problem is when I looked to some other horses, like the 7 Cole Spur, this horse has a nice speed figure, but that was for Brad Cox 2 races back. He came back and ran awful for Moquette. And then Euler, the 9 horse, is a horse that has some back numbers as well. But I'm not cutting in line to bet horses off of Steve Asmussen. So basically, I mean, I'm like kind of picking the 6, and I'm only doing that because I don't want to lie to you. I guess I'll pick the 6. Maybe Gary can offer a little insight. Gary, is the 9 Euler an option here?
To me, he is an option. He goes from one high-profile barn, Steve Asmussen, to another high-profile barn in Mike Maker, both very good claiming trainers. And the reason this horse makes sense, he could have dropped this horse all the way down, said, I don't want him, but I think he was fairly priced at 50. I think he can win today, cutting back in distance, and I like this move. And Ricardo Santana, I like that he chose to ride him back. I know that he wouldn't turn down too many horses for Mike Maker, but I've got a feeling that he may have told Mike or conveyed to Mike, listen, he's by Uncle Mo. Why don't you try shortening this horse up? He showed some brief speed in all of his route races and faded, so why not try him long? He's my pick in here at 2-1. Just FYI, Andy, Robertino Diodoro is heating up just a tad because he did win one earlier on the card today. So pay attention.
Appreciate that. We didn't think he'd go on an O for the year. It was good to know. Maybe
one
turn
of
around.
The great claiming trainers in the country, had a rough spell, but yeah, finally got a win yesterday and now on the board again today. Right-hand side of your screen, grade 3 Gotham on this road to this year's Kentucky Derby. There is Morello, 6-5 favorite here. Perfect 2 for 2. Your impressive Jimmy Winkfield winner for Steve Asmussen, son of the 2-year-old Champ Classic Empire.
Let me ask you a question, Greg. You know, we both agreed that Radio Days was way overbet at 1-2. Do you think he's overbet at 6-5? I'm a little
bit,
but not as dramatic as
Radio Days was way overbet.
Right, because she didn't have the kind of edge. Another horse were coming back. I think this horse probably should bet 8 or 9, 8-5. I don't think this horse is supposed to be 3-1. I never thought he'd be 3-1.
Yeah.
Morning line. Everybody likes him. A lot of people pick him, not just you and I. But I'm surprised. This is a little short, but not that bad.
Yeah, I agree with you. And probably not going to move up that number as we're getting, 8 minutes to post coming up. Right now, back to Oaklawn.
I bet the 3.
That's Driven One, dropping in for attack for the first time with Martin Garcia, the 3. Let's go to Vic Stauffer. Here's race 7 from Hot Springs.
They're at the post. They're off. Popster and Aristocat break well. Wesleyan and Uncaptured Dream with Cole Spur and Public Record. 6 of them tried for the front. Uncaptured Dream and Cole Spur are the 2 that emerge. Then comes Driven One. The 2 trailers are Treaty and Euler. Uncaptured Dream trying to get over to the fence, and he can pick his path now. A half length in front of Cole Spur in second. Wesleyan is 3 deep in third and less than 2 from the front. Then a lineup of 4. Public Record, Aristocat, Driven One, and a 4 wide Popster. Treaty is second to last with 6 lengths to make up. Euler is the trailer, and Uncaptured Dream is the leader. Uncaptured Dream at the quarter pole, a neck in front of Cole Spur in second, a half length to Wesleyan in third, then 3.5 back to Aristocat, who just took fourth. Outside of him, it's Popster, top of the stretch. Uncaptured Dream cuts the corner and leads. He's a half length in front of Aristocat and Wesleyan. Cole Spur is on the attack, and here's a new leader. It's Cole Spur, and he's now a length and a half in front. Uncaptured Dream is back at the rail in second. Euler is emerging late third. It is Cole Spur, Euler trying to get into second. Cole Spur clear to the wire to win. Cole Spur won by about 5. Euler did get second. It's very close for third between Treaty and Uncaptured Dream.
Ron Moquetta, Whitmore fame. Cole Spur dropping back down to that 50 maiden claiming level with the win.
He ran back to the race he ran before that, cut back in distance, and whatever happened last time didn't happen today. He galloped. The number 9 looks like he picked up second, a 4-horse photo. Uncaptured Dream, surprising speed last race, right?
Yeah, no question. Let's get back to New York here, Grade 3 Gotham, and here's our post parade. Running Son of a Gun will kick things off from the inside.
Well, it was a good claim for the current connections, winning right away with them off the claim. They're taking their shot in here. This is a tough spot.
21-1. Yeah, big ask, but why not? See what you got here. Trying to win his 3rd in a row. Glider for Marcassi was beat by Emmanuel. We're going to see in the Fountain of Youth later today at Gulfstream.
I thought he looked like the best closer in this race if you think that the pace could get hot and the race could fall apart. And a lot of people like Emmanuel. He's a big price.
Pair of Pletcher's runners in this race. Here's one of them, Golden Code. Dominant win against New York bred maiden special.
I thought his win last time is better than the 69 buyer suggests, but not good enough to win here.
From Another Mother, Ray Handel having a terrific meet.
Same connections as the favorite Morello in here. He's talented. They'll find out, though, if he can be effective from off the pace today.
Speedy Dean's List went by for Pletcher.
He's so fast he went by in the post parade.
Life is great, 32-1.
Life wasn't great for him last time when he faced Morello.
No need to worry. He comes out of the Withers, distant 5th.
He's got a lot of reasons to worry.
Bold Journey, we thought he was home free in the Gander. He was impressive in his second start, and he got run down.
Was it an illusion that he stopped in the stretch? The race came back fast.
Sibling to the American Revolution, Grade 1 winner, by the way, Bold Journey.
Yeah.
Here's Morello, even money.
He's a little overbet at even money. We like him. We think he's good. We think he's moving forward. He's done all the right things, but that's a short price.
Yeah, and Bob Baffert bringing in Rockefeller from the West Coast. He was second to Newgrange in the Sham.
The problem for him is the Speedy Dean's List, right? Because he's got to deal with that one, and that's not going to be easy.
9-2 on that Son of Medallion Dora. Let's look at Morello. Here he is. So, again, short price, but this Winkfield was ultra impressive. Horse that doesn't need to be in front, but he is tactical, too.
And you have to love the draw he gets, that outside stalking draw, right? He doesn't need the lead, but he's not going to be compromised by the pace. If it's too slow, which it doesn't rate to be, he can be closer. And listen, one race doesn't a career make. His maiden race was better than it looks after he had a bad break, but he stepped forward so strong in the second start. And you talked about the gallop out, the way he's striding out the wire in this race. What's not to like?
Very positive how he moved forward in that second start. He put that competition away, and he makes a great appearance as well. This is the horse that most think you're going to have to try and run down to win this race. Dean's List, he was in a big-time stretch duel in his second start against a horse named Dean Delivers, who would come back and run second in the Swale Stakes.
And he'll be running the Fountain of Youth, which is being run shortly after the race is being run here. Yeah, Greg, I don't know. I picked him second. I think you had him close, too, in your picks. I feel like he's the second likeliest winner because of the talent he's displayed, but is he going to bring that form from Florida up to New York and be as efficient going a mile? He has talent, though.
Third place finisher in that race also came back to win with a 92 buyer speed figure, 6-1 on the Speedster Dean's List. Jonathan, can he take him gate to wire?
Yeah, look, I'm a huge fan of horses like this that have shown a ton of tactical speed, have run fast races early. I don't care if you win a sprint closing from last. I like horses that run the entire time because, in theory, Dean's List should be able to go a little bit slower than Dean's List had to in those sprint races. The other thing I'll say from a pedigree standpoint, and I'm not one that gets too crazy about pedigree because I think that if you don't have an extensive knowledge of it, it could lead you down bad paths, but it's pretty easy to look some things up. Dean's List has 2 siblings that have won a total of 12 races. All 12 of those races that Tiz Rude and Brasstown won were at a mile or longer. So you have to think, or you like to think, that the distance shouldn't be an issue for Dean's List. And, oh, by the way, he's got Todd Pletcher as his trainer.
Well, it's a good thing to have Todd Pletcher in your corner as a trainer, Hall of Fame conditioner, but Mrs. Marciano had 6 children. She only had 1 Rocky, so I'm not going with the idea that this horse wants a mile. I think he looks fast, but he looks like a sprinter type to me. I think a mile will be stretching him to his outer limits. Obviously, he's very talented, but I'm looking elsewhere for a horse to get a mile. Dean's List, I think, will struggle with that final furlong. The 9 Morello, your favorite, looks good. Nothing but positives about him. A horse that's 2 for 2, showing the ability to kind of get that good stalking trip. My ultimate pick will be the 10 Rockefeller, though. He's kind of got that Hollywood tan, that California glow to him. He's got a great outside draw, should get into the race the right way. And Trevor McCarthy's been riding well. I think projects to get a good trip, and I think he's going to appreciate the 1-turn mile. And a horse that I think will outrun his odds, and on paper doesn't look like much of a contender, but from a physical perspective looked incredible in the paddock, was the 2 Glider. Loved him from a physical perspective. And interesting enough, Jimmy Miranda, a former rider, won a lot of races here at Aqueduct, now working for Mark Cassidy, came in to saddle him, so it's good to see Jimmy Miranda. Glider, a horse that I do believe will outrun his odds, but it's all about the 10 Rockefeller for me, guys.
Jimmy Miranda. Wow. That's a name from the past.
Well, the money, I'm with the money here. I believe the money's right, and Morello's getting a lot of money because of what he's shown so far.
I agree, and I like him, but he is overbet at even money. Everyone likes him. You like him. Every handicapper I look at likes this horse. Now, listen, doesn't mean we're wrong here, and there's good reasons to like him. But price still matters in here, and this is an awfully short price. The thing is, I don't find anybody else that appealing. 5-1 on the 5 Dean's List. I understand what Jonathan's saying, but I'm not sure this horse will want to go longer, Spice kind of anything. I think if I had to take a horse in the price right now, maybe Glider's not a bad bet in the 7-1 range if you're looking for an alternative. We haven't really talked about him, but a lot of people are awfully high on Emmanuel. I'm not one of them, but a lot of people are.
That's the horse who beat Glider last time out. Highly regarded for Todd Pletcher. Mark Cassidy says he's going to need some pace help up front to set it up for him.
I think he's going to get it.
Yeah, he may.
And, you know, we saw the way that the 1 closed up the rail last time. Maybe Gallara stays inside and hopes it works out.
Meanwhile, we talk about now 4-5 on Morello. How about 20-1 on From Another Mother, the 4?
Yeah, that's a crazy price, and same connections as the favorite. I like Morello. I hope he wins, but I think 4-5 is too short a price.
From Another Mother, the 4 broke like a rocket ship last start. I would not think anywhere near as quick as this horse right here, but he could force that horse to go a little quicker than he wants.
They're betting Morello like he's running against a bad field. This is not a bad field.
Bold Journey as well, that sibling to American Revolution. We're set for the Grade 3 Gotham on the road to the Derby. Here's John Imbrial.
And they're off. A bit of a bobble there for number 10, Rockefeller from the outside, From Another Mother and Dean's List. And on the outside, Morello is there along with Rockefeller. And then it is Golden Code down towards the rail running in 5th. Life is Great is next in 6th. Followed by Runnin' Son of a Gun in 7th. Then comes Bold Journey in 8th. Followed by Glider. And No Need to Worry is the trailer in 10th. As they race up the Big A backstretch. It is Dean's List, the leader here by a length. The favorite Morello on the outside in 2nd, with From Another Mother running in 3rd. Runnin' Son of a Gun is next in 4th, and alongside is Golden Code. Life is Great is next in 6th. Rockefeller is in 7th. Then comes Glider, who's down at the rail, followed by No Need to Worry and Bold Journey. The quarter went in 23-2. The half mile in 47-3. Dean's List continues to show the way here. It's Dean's List by 3/4 of a length. Morello is right there on the outside in 2nd with Golden Code. And Runnin' Son of a Gun heads apart 3rd and 4th. Life is Great gaining ground on the outside. From Another Mother is back running in 6th. And Glider is 7th. Followed by Bold Journey in 8th. Rockefeller has dropped back to last. They are at the top of the stretch. 3/4 went in 1:13. Here is Morello to move right alongside of Dean's List. Dean's List digs down at the rail. Morello on the outside, and Morello is now in front. Dean's List is back running in second. Then it is Golden Code, and Life is Great. Morello is drawing away here in the stretch, and the 3-year-old will stay undefeated. He's 3 for 3, and he wins the Grade 3 Gotham by more than 4 lengths. Dean's List was second, and a photo for third, and the time was 1 minute, 39 1/5 seconds.
Connection's going to be playing a lot of Rage Against the Machine and Audio Slave tonight. Morello, this was electric from him.
You're watching the race, and you can see that Manny Franco is all in on Dean's List at the 3/8 pole. And the rider of this horse, Jose Lezcano, was just sitting on him. You saw when he asked him, and it was over in the snap of a finger. This is a very, very nice horse. Let me give a little perspective, though, to Venti Valentine. This race was 0.37 seconds faster than Venti Valentine ran. That's about 2/5 of a second. So we saw a very good performance by that filly as well. We saw 2 legitimate horses here, and congrats to Connections. This Morello is a very nice horse.
Serious racehorse who's now 3 for 3. He's gone from 6 to 7 to now a mile. Perfect every step along the way. I know where he's going next.
He'll be in the wood. And I'll tell you what, I mean, there's a big difference between a mile and a 2-turn mile and an eighth. The way he runs, this is a good horse. Watch the start and see what happened to the 10, who may have bobbled Rockefeller.
Yeah, outside post. Briefly,
ground broke.
Went to his knees a little bit.
A little behind, a little bit odd. I'm going to tell you, it may be their excuse for running as poorly as he did. He ran as poorly as he did because he wasn't good enough.
9.536. You got a 27 and 46 to 1 shot in 3rd and 4th, but the whole story here is about Morello, and he just dominates this group in the Gotham.
Todd Fletcher was 2nd and 3rd, to be fair.
Yeah. We've talked about just no killers on this Triple Crown Trail right now. This is a legitimate Derby contender.
I agree. I mean, based on what we have seen so far, this guy has put himself in the conversation. And that's what's supposed to happen in these preps. Sometimes horses don't run well in the races, sometimes they do. He certainly ran very well. Want to see what the speed figures come out? These aqueduct tracks are tricky to make speed figures, but this is a very nice horse, Morello, and we're going to hear more from him down the road, whatever races they are.
Craig Taylor, Blue Lion Thoroughbreds, they have a nice one. Congratulations. Enjoy this victory.
They are.
And, yeah, not going to be hard to do with that performance. 3 for 3 now. And nothing like having a horse on the trail to the Kentucky Derby.
No, this is great. And, you know, it was such a nice interview by the owners after his win in the Wingfield, when he just gave all the credit to Toby Sheets, the assistant trainer for Steve Asmussen here, and, you know, talking about where he'd go, and he said it's all up to Toby. You know, he and Steve call the shots here, and an owner who puts his trust in his trainer is going to be rewarded.
Jose Lezcano with a Derby contender.
Hey, why not? Jose's won a lot of races in New York. He's just been overshadowed a little bit lately, but he's still one of the best riders in New York.
That was impressive from Morello. And the Silks of Blue Lion Thoroughbreds again. Son of Classic Empire, the 2-year-old champ. And a horse now a perfect 3 for 3 for Steve Asmussen. Prices when we come back. Stay with us, a lot more ahead.
Run Happy, the #1 second prop sire by graded stakes winners and earnings. Run Happy is represented by Smile Happy, the Kentucky Derby individual future pool favorite. A leading dirt sire and now with an exciting Kentucky Derby hopeful. Call Bernie Sams now and book your mare to Eclipse Champion Run Happy right now. Run Happy standing in stall 1 at Claiborne Farm.
The Fasig-Tipton Gulfstream Sale. We're bringing the heat to Miami once again with a catalog of selected 2-year-olds in training. Recent stars include Grade 1 winner Yapon, plus graded stakes winners Independence Hall, Heart of Almost, Center Isle, and Cezanne. Burning up the dirt track with selected juveniles by the nation's hottest sires. The Fasig-Tipton Gulfstream Sale. Selected 2-year-olds in training, March 30th in Hallandale Beach, Florida. Where will you be?
This season at Oaklawn, we've got more of everything. More of the top thoroughbreds in the world. More days of live racing. And the largest purses in our history. All at a completely reimagined Oaklawn. Come be a part of this historic season at Arkansas's only casino resort.
Back on America's Day at the Races on FS2. And the road to the Derby through New York might go through Morello. What a performance in the Grade 3 Gotham for trainer Steve Asmussen, Blue Lion Thoroughbreds, Craig Taylor, and Jose Lezcano aboard.
Yeah, no, I agree. He really delivered. He was even money, but he won like an even money shot should. And it's on to see what he can do in the Wood Memorial. And Greg, isn't that what the Triple Crown, what these preps are all about? Each race finding out more about your horse.
It really is, and you loved it. You don't always see it, but you're seeing with this horse just the progression, race to race to race. He's growing up right in front of our eyes and getting more professional with each race.
And I think that it's fair to say that Dean's List probably ran the race he ran last time. I don't think Jonathan was wrong. I didn't struggle particularly with the distance. I'm not saying he's a 1.25 mile horse. I don't think the distance cost him. I just think he ran to a better horse.
No question, he was best in here. What a performance for Morello. Even money. Dean's List, Golden Cold, second and third. Morello, 50 points to get into that starting gate for this year's Kentucky Derby. And no question, it is on to the Wood Memorial after that performance. Let's head downstairs to Mig.
Thanks, Greg. Here with Toby Sheets, a longtime assistant to Steve Asmussen. You've had this horse right along, and he's done everything like such a professional. You've got to be so happy and proud with that effort.
It's great when what you think is going.
Apologies again. Technical difficulties with Mig. We'll see if he can get it sorted out. Toby Sheets, though, does such a tremendous job for Steve Asmussen.
Yeah, and I think people should realize is Toby Sheets is the trainer in New York 12 months a year for Steve Asmussen Barn. The only time that Steve Asmussen and his assistants come up to Scott Blasey or during Saratoga. But Toby Sheets is running the show all year round, and he's also got horses for him at Belmont Park while we're in Saratoga. So this is somebody who's running a big operation for those guys, and he's in New York. And, you know, all the credit goes to the Asmussen and the whole team, and it's always about the team. But Toby's the guy in New York.
Take a look at the Showdown online contest overall standings. $213 bankroll created by the winner. Well done. Again, this is free to play. You're competing for real prizes each and every day on our program. Cross country, pick 5, follow along. And another short priced favorite. Got one price in there at 5-1 with the final leg still to come.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. All you had to do was find that one tough horse, and we'll see if it's on the value, and we'll see as they get closer to it. I haven't looked at the will pays yet, but the cross country pick 5, pretty logical. So
yeah, many believe in that final leg. Garhole going to be another short price.
Yeah, he is going to be a short price.
See what happens in that one coming up. Feature on this Saturday program out at Oaklawn still ahead. Let's head back to Hot Springs right now. Their 8th race is coming up. An allowance, $100,000 purse here. 6 furlong sprint, and the 7 a Toka right now. Wow, is favored for D. Wayne Lucas.
He ran very well last time in a paceless race and a cutting back in distance, able to put himself in the game, and really the best race he's ever run. I thought he had to deal with the horse outside of him, the 8 home base, and the 5-7 Nation Army. The public agrees. I like the 3 choices.
We're going to take a timeout. We'll have the post parade for this allowance sprint coming up when we return. Traveling 6 furlongs again out in Hot Springs coming up next. Stay with us. We'll be back. Lots more ahead, including the feature from Hot Springs.
A Grade 1 winner on both dirt and turf, War of Will became a classic winner with this victory in the Preakness Stakes and added a Grade 1 with turf credentials in the Maker's Mark Mile. From ages 2 to 4, this versatile son of Warfront proved his class at the highest levels. Now his first foals have arrived. War of Will, standing at Claiborne Farm.
We're back in Hot Springs, Arkansas. 8th race at Oaklawn coming up. We'll see the post parade here. Back on America's Day at the Races here on FS2. 5-2 favorite remains Toka. What a meet Dwayne Lucas is having in Hot Springs. He's got the 3-year-old filly Secret Oath. He's got Ethereal Road on the Derby Trail. Here's Mojo Man to kick things off.
Yeah, Mojo Man's in a tough spot from down the inside. It's not an easy field. His prior form before this year is pretty good, though.
Lycan, Ingrid Mason sends out back-to-back 5th-place finishes.
Yeah, this horse would really have to step it up to beat these.
3 for 27 lifetime. Big number here. Much better. Showed speed and backed up to 3rd against Home Base last start.
Yeah, next Bob Baffert horse does a ton of speed. He doesn't have a lot of stamina, though.
Now with Steve Asmussen, 13-1. He was 9-2 morning line. Topper T, John Cordy just ran a big race out of town at Prairie Meadows. That was last year's, his 6-year-old debut.
Right. Do we trust that he'll run back to his Prairie Meadows form? This is a former 25 claimer from New York.
7 Nation Army. He was just 3rd in the King Cotton here.
Yeah, I didn't think he ran badly in that race, and I know that he kind of should have won 2 back with the speed, but he's got race can win. He's my top choice.
4 of his 8 wins, they've come right here at Oaklawn, trained by Ron Moquette. Whiskey Double, Asmussen as well.
Yeah, you know, he gets more pace to run out. He got it 2 back. He didn't get it last time. Maybe more pace will help him. Not impossible.
Here's the horse who's favored right now for the coach, Dwayne Lucas. Owns part of him as well.
If I was confident he'd run his last race, I'd probably bet him, but I'm not.
And Home Base, major player outside, who was a winner 2 back in the slop.
No doubt. I agree. He should stalk and get a good trip in this race. I think I'd argue he may be the horse to beat.
Let's take a look at his last race. He was a huge price in that King Cotton. He was 27-1. He wound up out finishing 7 Nation Army. Running 2nd in the race, 7 Nation Army 3rd, about a length and a quarter behind him.
And the way Bob's Edge ran, I mean, running 2nd and 3rd was okay in here. Bob's Edge was very impressive with this victory. Home Base and 7 Nation Army both ran very well here. I'm not familiar with the rider listed for 7 Nation Army, R. Diaz, and I don't know if that has any effect. But I think those 2 are the ones. I would take them over a Toka.
And with more on Rene Diaz, we're going to find out right now. Let's go to Gary Stevens.
Well, guys, full disclosure here. First of all, I'm rooting for Wayne Lucas. He's having a great meet here, but I'm in agreement with Andy that Toka, he doesn't hit him back-to-back. He's a one-on, one-off type of horse, but he's been running solid. But I'm going to tell you about this kid, Rene Diaz. He showed no records here at Hot Springs, Arkansas, only a handful of races, period. I saw a guy coming down the middle of the track earlier today that looked like something that I hadn't seen for a long time. Well, it was this kid, Rene Diaz, and he caught my eye. He finished 2nd on a long shot earlier on the card. I'm telling you what, getting 10 pounds in here to most of the field, in with the 111 pounds, it's a big benefit. I'm looking forward to seeing this kid ride at this meet here because he has something special from what I saw in that one race. So just a heads up, Andy, if you like that horse, you're getting 10 pounds. I'm not a big weight guy, but when it's 10 pounds and you've got an apprentice that can ride, it makes a big difference, guys.
Good to hear.
3-1 on Rene Diaz's mount here. 7 Nation Army to 5.
Not familiar with him, but that's good information there. And listen, I think he's dangerous in here. I would prefer to go to the more confirmed sprinters in here. Toka, listen, Toka ran well sprinting last time. That was a paceless race. He put himself in the game. I'm not knocking him. I'm not going to be surprised when he's effective. But of the 3, and I think the 5, 7, 8 are the main players, I prefer the 8 and 5.
This good race coming on. This could be a feature on most days, but it's obviously a very big Saturday afternoon in Hot Springs. Jonathan, your thoughts here?
Yeah, look, I'll be quick. The 7 and the 8 are the horses I think to beat in here and the most likely winners. But I thought there was a couple of interesting cases to be made for the 3 and the 4. The 3 much better. This is a horse that has run fresh in the past, and he shows back up here for Steve Asmussen, who you would think could probably be a little bit more aggressive if he didn't feel like much better had some run left. What I mean by aggression is meaning, you know, put him in a spot where he can win and maybe someone will claim him. But he shows up here and maybe they're going to see one of those better efforts. I usually pay attention to when winning trainers, Hall of Fame trainers, kind of show a little bit of confidence. So I thought the 3 much better made some sense at a big price. And the 4, Topper T. This is a horse I've just followed forever because it's just kind of funny to me. This horse was bought privately prior to the Breeders' Cup back in 2000, and geez, I feel like maybe 18, maybe it was 19. And the talk all week was how talented this horse was and how he was going to win the juvenile. He was going to win the juvenile. Well, he never really turned into that horse, but he's always had a little bit of talent, and sometimes he shows up and sometimes he doesn't. But he shows up here fresh off a little bit of a break, and let's see if the Topper T that was supposed to be shows up here today. The 3 and the 4 add a little bit of value, but like I said, I think the 7 and the 8 are the horse to beat.
Can Topper T, the 4, he's 8-1 right now, can he be the one in front leading the way? You can win your share of $10,000 when you bet with Naira Bets on Saturdays in March. Visit NairaBets.com to opt into the promo. You have to do that. And play one or all of the selected wagers. If your ticket wins, you win a share of $2,500 per winning wager. Go to NairaBets.com for all the promotion details. And again, you got to opt in. So 5-2 on Atoka in here. What do you think about Topper T in terms of his ability to dictate on the front end?
I don't think there's any chance that he'll be in front of Much Better.
No?
Unless Much Better doesn't break. I don't believe that I would want to bet on him going from $25,000 claiming races off at the claim at Prairie Meadows and taking that for him to Oaklawn. I wish Jonathan the best of luck, but I don't like him at all.
John Court going to be aboard. And that win in a stake earlier on in the card. As we get a look at Ricardo Santana Jr. on the 1 in here, Mojo Man for Jimmy DeVito. And a horse who was a stakes winner at Indiana just a few starts back, although that was back in July of last year. But a 9-time winner who has some ability. He's 8-1 right now.
Yeah, he was good. I mean, he has past form that was very, very good. But his recent races are not good.
Co-favorites, the 2 on the outside, who they're very logical in here. Atoka, Home Base. We talked about Home Base, his 2nd and 3rd off the bench. 92 buyer speed figures in both.
No, I mean, he draws perfectly on the outside. He's got stalking speed, but he can rate. I mean, isn't he just supremely logical of his last 2 races on the outside?
There's that apprentice who's just stepping in that Gary was talking about, Rene Diaz on 7, Nation Army the 5. He's behind the 7 and 8, 3rd choice on the board. And 3-1, just was 3rd in that King Cotton here at Oaklawn. Vic Stauffer with the call. Here's race 8.
Atoka is ready, so is Much Better. Topper T. The last horse to load is Home Base. They're at the post. They're off. 7 Nation Army, Much Better, and Topper T all break well. Home Base is close as well, and these 4 race out. Mojo Man, Whiskey Double, and Lycan are next, and the early trailer is Atoka. It is Much Better and Topper T up the backstretch. Much Better, a neck in front. Topper T is second by 2 lengths now from Mojo Man and 7 Nation Army. Home Base is 5th with about 4 lengths to make up. Lycan's at the rail. Atoka is out of last place, and he's 6 off the lead, but on the move. Here's Atoka in the green and white within 4 of the front. The trailer now is Whiskey Double. They round the far turn, and the leader is Much Better. But 7 Nation Army and Home Base are after him. Topper T is between horses. Atoka is just in behind that foursome. He's got forward momentum, many chances top of the stretch. 7 Nation Army is short lead with Home Base. Atoka swings out for the drive. He's 2 from the lead. Much Better is still boxing on very gamely, and Much Better actually has the lead. It is Much Better and Home Base. Lycan, Mojo Man, Atoka to the outside. Many chances. Home Base, Atoka. Now these 2 up the rail. Mojo Man, Home Base, Atoka. Home Base, Atoka. Mojo Man, Home Base. Home Base beat Atoka. Mojo Man was 3rd. Much Better 4th.
Home Base, Francisco Arrieta. Cipriano Contreras, the 7-year-old, wins for the 9th time in his career.
He got the right trip, stalking on the outside and grounded out as the whole field was across the track in the stretch. He held off Atoka, who ran very well. Disappointing effort for the 5. Can't blame the bug rider. He had him good position. Nice run up the rail by Mojo Man, but Home Base, as we said, very logical horse getting it done. Logical result.
2 wins now his last 3 starts. And the 7-year-old son of Street Sense. Again, the 9th win in his career. Leading rider Francisco Arrieta with another victory, holding off Atoka for Dwayne Lucas. Much better, tried to do it on the front end. Ran a good race, but in the end, weakened late. Florent Geroux was aboard there trying to take that one gate to wire. Speaking of him, we'll have his story on a man who was just awarded a Kentucky Derby from last year on Mandaloun and his rise here in the States and what was the difference for him. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Catalina Cruiser. He won 7 of 9 starts coast to coast with 6 triple-digit buyers and 5 dominating graded stakes wins, including a record in the Grade 2 True North Stakes. A son of leading 5th crop sire Union Rags, a $370,000 yearling with an imposing physical, and one of the best of his generation. There's only one Catalina Cruiser, now standing at Lane's End.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Harris Farms, proudly standing Smiling Tiger, a triple Grade 1 winner, defeating Breeders' Cup champions Dancing in Silks and Amazombie, a leading California sire with over $9.7 million in progeny earnings, with 94 winners in 2021 and graded stakes superstars like Spice Perfection.
Spice Perfection wins the Grade 1 La Brea.
And Tiger Dad. Smiling Tiger, a leading California sire, standing at Harris Farms. It pays to be Cal bred.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
We're back on America's Day at the Races on FS2. Our program is brought to you in part by the champion sprinter. Run Happy never lost in his career while sprinting, and he did it all while racing medication-free. Now stands in legendary stall number 1 at Claiborne Farm. Home base with Francisco Arrieta, leading rider at the meet in the irons. Picks up the victory here. He's now won 2 of his last 3.
You know, good horse, consistent horse, coming out of a good race, got a nice trip on the outside. Francisco Arrieta continues to ride very, very well at the meet, and he ground out the win. I thought Atoka ran really well. I mean, the pace did get a bit contested, and he got a nice trip, but I thought he ran well to run second. He's in great form for Wayne. A little bit disappointing by 7 Nation Army.
He was disappointing. Topper T off the bench, a little disappointing as well. I know you didn't like him, though, but home base at 2-1, $6 for the victory. Contreras stable, Victory stable, co-owned this 7-year-old son of Street Sense. 8-7-1. They're in the 8th, and the main event coming up next in Hot Springs, the No Double Breeders. No Double ran from 1967 to 1970. 2-time champion older male, won the Arkansas Derby, Hawthorne Gold Cup, Santa Anita, Brooklyn, and Metropolitan handicaps. And then at stud, he was a leading sire in North America as an Arkansas bred back in 1981.
No, he had an incredible impact on the game. I can remember, you know, when I was much younger. It's a long time ago. It's tough to remember. He was a major factor as a sire.
Did we see 1-5 on Garhole?
Wow. You know, that cross-country pick 5 with him is paying $130 for 50 cents. The parlay for 50 cents is $25 right now. So there's pretty big value in there. I wonder if maybe the horses weren't quite as heavily favored in some of those races. Maybe that first winner at Oaklawn wasn't.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. Florent Geroux, we're going to see him on Tempt Fate coming up, trying to beat the heavily favored Garhole in this race. Geroux, of course, a native of France. He has steadily risen in the ranks becoming one of the top riders in the game. But before mounts like champions Gunrunner and Monomoy Girl, he really had to pay his dues and spend some cold winter months honing his craft in Chicago. Florent Geroux grew up in France. His father was a jockey and trainer. He was the leading apprentice in France before coming to America to ride at age 21.
Just thought I know I was capable of doing it, and I just felt like, you know, here in America, if you work hard and you give 110%, people are definitely going to give you a chance, you know. That's why I came here, and I work hard, and it pays off, and it's a team effort too, you know. I'm not the only one, you know. I'm working, you know, beside, you know, with my agent dog and all the trainers and the owner who support us, you know. So it's a team effort.
Geroux first needed to learn America's dirt racing. He credits his winners in Chicago when he first came to the United States, when he learned the intricacies of riding the main track.
It all depends on what kind of horses they give you, but like you said, you know, at first they gave me a lot of like good horses. They were on turf. But I used to ride over the winter, you know, at Hawthorne, and in Chicago during the winter time, there's no turf racing. So I think staying there a few winters really helped me a lot, you know, to get definitely a riding style to dirt racing. And I think from there, just a snowball effect, and when you ride good horses, it makes you look good.
Geroux shined brightest on one of racing's biggest stages in the Breeders' Cup. Florent has won 7 Breeders' Cup races.
Work all week, and Florent Geroux has done it! They beat Sequence Circle in the Breeders' Cup Sprint!
In 2017 and 2018, Geroux's horses won a combined $37 million.
Monomoy Girl digs down deep, and she was dazzling in the Oaks.
Geroux rode Gunrunner to 6 Grade 1 wins.
Gunrunner wins the Whitney!
Including that 2017 Classic.
Gunrunner's on top of the world! He wins the Breeders' Cup Classic!
It's horse racing, you know, keeps you very humble. So you win one, next day, you know, you need to get right back to work. So there's never really no time to celebrate or time off.
Geroux has also won America's most famous race, the Kentucky Derby. Under unusual circumstances, 296 days after the 2021 Kentucky Derby, Medina Spirit was disqualified by Kentucky Horse Racing Commission stewards, and Geroux's mount, Mandaloon, was declared the winner. Chicago has proven to be an important place for Geroux's personal life, too. It's where he met and married his wife. Today, Florent and Casey have 2 children, and in 2018, Geroux became a U.S. citizen.
Oh, that was extremely important. You know, I was here. My wife is from Chicago. Both of my kids are born here. So that was just the next step. So I'm proud of it and happy. So it's done. So now it's all good.
Just 13 years old when he entered jockey school, started riding professionally when he was 17. He's grown up quite a bit. Top 10 in earnings in the country 5 of the last 6 years.
Yeah, no, he's a terrific rider. And I think when he's been more aggressive, and we saw him being aggressive when he really was doing well, I mean, he saw him in the last couple of years have terrific years, an excellent rider, no doubt.
Again, we're going to see him on Tempt Fate coming up in this feature on the Saturday card. He's had some great mounts pretty recently. And look at some notable winners from him. Of course, Derby winners pretty notable. Elevated with that DQ Medina Spirit. Gunrunner, Monomoy Girl, some of the big ones. She Dares the Devil as well. Let's hear from our Hall of Famer on what makes Florent Geroux so good as a rider. Gary.
Well, I think the things that strikes me the most about that interview is him talking about his winter at Hawthorne in Chicago, a cold, harsh winter and different type of abrasive racetrack, kicking back. You've got to get position early on. Turf racing in Europe is completely different than dirt racing here in the United States. It's even different than turf racing here in the United States, where there's more emphasis on early speed, even in turf racing. But in turf racing in Europe, most of the time you're trying to switch your horse off at the beginning of a race and have the emphasis on the final quarter of a mile. That's not the case here in America. Even in turf racing, you may try and switch a horse off if the finishes are much faster in turf than what they are dirt. But dirt, it's absolutely essential that you get a good start, no matter if your horse is a come from behind her, one that sits just off the pace, or a speed horse. The start is essential, getting position early and putting yourself in the right position where you're not getting all the kickback at all the time, discouraging your horse. That's what he's become an expert on. Getting back to his elevation of the Derby winner now, I saw him yesterday morning. I was out doing the Barnes Hustle and Book, and Florent, he'd just gotten back in town, been traveling this past week, and he was stood outside of Brad Cox's barn, and he pulled his camera up, and he had this smirkish look on his face, and he says, look at this picture. There's a horse statue in the Derby Museum that is saddled with the silks and the colors of the horse that wins the Kentucky Derby every year. That had not been done until this past couple of days, and somebody had sent him a picture, and he seemed kind of sheepy. He said, that's not right. He said, well, I'll take it. I know that he wants to win a Kentucky Derby, crossing the finish line in first, but he is considered a Kentucky Derby winner along with Mandaloun at this time, guys.
It's certainly not, thank you, Gary, not the way you want to win it. He'll take it, but I'm sure there's a Derby with his name on it coming up in the not-too-distant future. He's a very talented rider.
Yeah, I mean, and at the end of the day, whether he wins or not, wins the Derby, I mean, is Charles Barkley not a great player because he didn't win an NBA championship? I don't believe in that stuff. Florent Geroux won a lot of big races, and that's not the winning or not winning a Derby. There's great trainers that haven't won them. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. I understand it's still a Derby win for him, and I consider him a Derby-winning rider. He'll win a lot of big races. He has won a lot of big races.
Again, we're going to see him coming up in this race. He'll be on Tempt Fate, who's the reigning Arkansas-bred Horse of the Year, by the way. But everybody in this field, they got to deal with Garhole, 1-5 favorite on the board. Going to be tough to deny. No double breeders. $150,000 purse, 6 furlong sprint. Coming up next as Garhole looks to make it 4 consecutive wins for trainer John Ortiz.
I'm very bullish on it.
Tom's D'Etat's got a 4-length lead at the 16th pole. Tom's D'Etat has conquered the Clark.
Your best horses of the last 10 or 15 years are not consistently as fast as this horse.
It's total domination for Tom's D'Etat.
He's a beautifully balanced horse and a really good mover, and he's just full of class.
Back on America's Day at the Races on FS2. We talked about the exploits of the great No Double campaign back from 1967 to 1970. Pretty darn good at stud as well back in 1981 when he led all of North America as a sire. But wow, was he sensational on the racetrack. 2-time champion older male Arkansas bred.
I'm going to go on a limb and say he's going to be the best Arkansas bred of all time, Greg.
Garhole's making a run at him.
He's got a big run to make. He can come to the car next if he wants to go on the trail.
Met Mile, Brooklyn Handicap, the Big Cap, Arkansas Derby, Hawthorne Gold Cup, just some of the big wins in No Double's career. His sire was actually an Aussie bred who took about a full second off the race record in the prestigious Cox Plate. Not bad.
Yeah. You've been over to the races in Australia. Did you go over once?
I've been to Australia, but I have not been to their big day. I need to get to that Melbourne Cup one day. What a resume that one put together. $846,000 running back in the late 60s.
That looks like Belmont Park. You think Ernie Munich took that picture?
May have. No double breeders coming up next, and that is a look at the one everyone's got to try and beat in here. Garhole for John Ortiz. John Ed Anthony's short-leaf stable campaigned this horse, and he didn't think he was going to be quite this good. He actually, this horse is named after a famous bar in the Marion Hotel, which closed back in April 1970, but in its day, it was in the basement of the Marion Hotel. It was the premier watering hole in Little Rock back in its time, where politicians, businessmen, media types, they all gathered and drank. And John A. Anthony said he had no idea the horse was going to turn out to be this good.
Well, it's good to be surprised in a positive way in horse racing, because usually you're surprised the other way around. I thought he was going to be good, and he just isn't very fast.
2-5 favorite right now. He's trained by John Ortiz, and John Ortiz having a terrific meet. And he also has a Derby contender right now who looked very strong, closing probably the best of anybody in that most recent prep. Barber Road looks like the more ground he gets, as he shows here in the Rebel, he's going to love it.
Yeah, he could be slow enough to be a Belmont horse. He really could. You know, he could fit that bill of a closer who runs Beyer figures of 80 as a Belmont horse. I don't think there's a single horse that ran the Rebel that'll have any effect on the Kentucky Derby this year or any of the Triple Crown races. But he is a horse that's obviously got a nice closing kick. He got a terrific ride getting position, you know, saving ground from an outside post. The race was falling apart late. He's a nice horse. These are not Derby horses. This is not the year, as of now, that I think the Kentucky Derby winner is coming through Arkansas.
Unoho, the New York bred, would win this race. That's Dwayne Lucas' runner outside Ethereal Road. He's excited about that runner. And Barber Road, I know John Ortiz got to be excited with this horse with that finish. We'll see. Things could change quickly in this Triple Crown trail. Can he take another move forward? But he got to be encouraged with that finish. Collected 18 total now, 18 Kentucky Derby points. And, of course, he'll be contesting that Arkansas Derby, you would think.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. It'll be interesting to see, you know, who will ship to Arkansas for the Arkansas Derby, because I think people are going to look at the Rebel and think, you know, I got to get there. It's big money. It's a grade 1. It's a lot of points. And it's wide open, because right now, and we have seen, and there have been years where the road that the Derby has gone through Arkansas. Right now, it's not that year.
We'll look at Barber Road, his last 4 starts. Meanwhile, John Ortiz got a pretty talented sprinter coming up in this race here in our feature, trying to make it 4 in a row. Garhole will have Ricardo Santana Jr. aboard. How good is Garhole, JK?
Look, I think he's pretty good. And to be fair, he doesn't have to be the best horse in the world or in the country. He's just got to be the best Arkansas bred. And we hear Richie talk about the pool size, the gene pool size, when you're dealing with these Arkansas breds and other state bred horses, that you don't have as many other horses to compete against. You had to be an Arkansas bred to be in this race. And Garhole just happens to be an exceptional Arkansas bred. So anytime there's these restricted races, he's running stakes figures in open company. And now he gets to just kind of compete against a group that doesn't have as many opportunities to find really, really fast horses. I think it's going to be extremely hard to beat in here. I wish he was a better price than 2-5. I wish there was something else you could do. You could try to find some, and we'll talk about some other horses maybe you can try to hook up underneath, but I think he's drawn perfectly. I think he's got the right rider, and I think he's the best horse. I think it's going to be very hard to beat.
And the board reflects that. 2-5. Mentioned campaign by Shortleaf Stable. They just recently at the meet became the all-time John Ed Anthony winningest owner in the history of Oaklawn. Collected his 270th win all-time at this meet. Of course, a lot of those came under that Loblolly banner. Here's Garhole in action. And he's just been a lot better and he's running figures, too, that would be competitive in, as JK said, an open stakes company.
I don't agree with that, but okay.
Figures that well, we look at different numbers.
Okay, right.
But, yeah.
Your numbers have him. Is this fast enough to like be in stakes? Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, we'll see. He's very, very hard to beat in this race. I mean, if he shows up and runs the races he's run, he's probably going to win this race. He drew very well on the outside. I don't see any serious, I guess, tempt fate. has run okay in some races. I suppose the 8 Young Bull at times has run okay. He's too good for these. Whether or not he ends up being a grade stakes, listen, I hope they find out. I hope they get a chance to try it. I mean, I suppose a win in this race, could they take a shot in the Count Fleet, Greg? I guess that's Arkansas Derby week or day, right?
Yeah, if he takes another big move forward and runs a figure that warrants it right now. There he is, 2-5 on the board. All the money here as this horse tries to make it 4 straight at Sire Tecton. You don't see a lot of Tectons out there.
No,
Was second, probably the best performance from him was a second in the Pegasus. He was just 3 for 16 lifetime in his career, but he's produced a good one here.
You think they're advertising the Pegasus? Tecton is second in it. What are we looking at?
This was December 12th. Bandit Point, Temp Fate. Bandit Point, he's going to be contesting this race for the 4th time in his career. He's been 3rd twice. He's been 2nd. Can he break through as a 7-year-old and get his first win in this no double breeders?
Not off his recent form, especially if Garhole shows up. And I mean, I guess you could say they're all at the mercy of whether Garhole shows up. I guess I would argue that Temp Fate's a little bit better. He's run some faster races. Obviously a big win this last time out. The problem is he's got the 4 and the 9 as sort of similar running styles, and 9 Garhole just maybe a little bit better. But he's not impossible.
Bandit Point, so he's the 2. He was in that race. He wound up 3rd in there. He's by a sire that stands for $1,000. Trainer Robert Klein purchased him privately for $3,000 before he'd ever run. He's gone on to win $370,000. Not bad.
No, not at all, especially because he's 4 for 40 with 6 seconds and 11 thirds. But no, this 7-year-old has had a very nice career, no doubt about it.
Meanwhile, here's the horse that finished in front of him, Tempt Fate, although Bandit Point did beat him.
Listen, Tempt Fate was 9-5 last time to Garhole's 4-5, so it's not like he wasn't bet against him. Now he's 5-1 to 1-2, so you're getting a better price scenario, obviously, though, because he lost by 4 lengths to Garhole. He was just no match whatsoever. And I think with Garhole drawing outside, he's got the 4, Blame JD, who has some speed, and Garhole putting pressure on him. I don't think it's going to be easy, but he's not impossible.
There he is. He's, again, the reigning Arkansas Bred of the Year. He won this race last year. He's done last year what Garhole's trying to do. He put together 4 consecutive victories.
Yeah, I mean, he's sort of been there, and it feels like Garhole is the horse who's kind of moving forward. Who knows? Listen, they have to run these races. We saw a favorite at this level, 2-5 or 1-2 in radio days earlier today. Different story, but a lightly raced horse. Though Garhole's a lightly raced horse. She didn't show up. She didn't run her race. They don't always win. They got to do it. But off his recent races, way the horse to beat. He is way the horse to beat.
16-1 on Mrs. Beans. Giovanni Franco. And a 2-time winner. He's coming off a win last time out. It was in the mud, but was that good enough to contend in here?
Well, I mean,
Board would say no.
He has a problem, Mrs. Beans. I think the fact that he's named Mrs. Beans and he's a gelding probably just creates some issues where he's just not happy. How does that happen? There must be like a Mrs. Beans. There must be a story or something, right?
Well, he rode the mud to victory as the favorite last time. Obviously, a ton tougher group.
This is a
even if Garhole wasn't in this race, a ton tougher group.
Right. This is a much tougher spot for him. But we'll see. A lot of time to get ready for the no double. Must be a very important race, you know, to have about 40 minutes to set up the no double.
Back to Garhole. And it will be Ricardo Santana Jr. back aboard piloting this horse he sits off the pace, but when he kicks into gear, look, his last 2 starts, he's won by a combined 10 lengths. He has put this competition away.
Yeah, no, you were very high on his maiden win, I remember. And you were dead right. I mean, he's backed it up with a couple of very nice performances. He draws well on the outside. I mean, you could say the competition is steeper, but is it, Greg? The second choice is the horse that he beat by 4 lengths last time. So the competition may be a little deeper, but it's not necessarily steeper.
And even, well, I guess what third choice on the board is the 2 Bandit Point at 14-1, right? So he handled him too.
Yeah.
He's already proven that, look, he's got to show up and do it again. But last time out, he had no problem with these horses. Is there any kind of, I mean, obviously with him 1-2, you're getting inflated prices everywhere else. Is there anyone that entices you a little to play against 1 to 2 here?
No, but I think the question would be, would you find somebody besides the 3 to maybe use for second, the exacta? And I think there's a couple of horses I could use. I think I could use KJ's Nobility, who maybe could run a little bit better here. He's got some back races, but his race this year have been bad, so he may just not be any good anymore. But I don't think Young Bull is impossible. He's got to bring that Delta Downs for him here, but he ran well at Oaklawn back in December, so I'm not sure he has to, right? He's run well enough here, so maybe you try a little 9 with the 8 or 7.
There's not a ton of pace in this race, right?
No, there is not a ton of pace, but that's going to help Garhole, right? He's going to be right on top of a moderate pace. That's the problem.
Well,
that's
there
the
is
thing.
one horse that looks like he can be loose, and that's Blame JD. He's quick already. Now he's putting blinkers on, and he's 22 to 1. He has not lasted at all in, his last 3 starts. But he is a stakes winner in this racetrack.
He's got 1 race that gives him a chance, and he's got 6 that give him no chance. Okay, and the 1 race was a wet, fast, sealed track. So no, not for me.
22 to 1 on him. He should be leading the way, but yeah, he has not had any ability to stick around late recently. Post parade coming up. There's the big favorite in those short-leaf stable silks. John Ed Anthony. Son Ed, pedigree expert, racing manager John Gasper said, I wanted to get you back to how good you were back in the days with Lob Ollie, and they won a lot of races now together as short-leaf stable. Mrs. Beans at 16 to 1.
John Gasper, my man. Mrs. Beans, I want the story, Greg. I want the story.
Research is working on it. Bandit Point, Kelsey Haar, Robert Klein, and again, 4th time in this race.
I think one of the things you brought up is the real problem for this horse if you thought he was good enough. There's no real speed in here, and this horse has no speed at all.
Tempt Fate. He was second, 4 lengths behind Garhole last start.
And he's supposed to be forward here and breaking inside of Blame JD and Garhole. He's got to go from in there.
Here's the speedster with Martin Garcia.
Yeah, blinkers on. He probably is going to be in front. We'll see.
26 to 1 next door. David Cohen on Big Success, the 5.
Feels like an underlay at 26 to 1. Is lightly raced off a nose victory in a maiden race.
Yeah, he faced Garhole 2 back before that in a maiden race. He was no match. 5th beat more than 6 lengths to him. Supercharger, 28 to 1.
He's got some races to give him a chance to get a slight piece, but his best race recently was on a muddy sealed track.
He on occasion has shown some pace, but last few starts that has not been the story. KJ's Nobility, 16 to 1.
Yeah, he's got the back form. Can he reach back and find that? If he does, there's an argument he could be the biggest threat to the favorite.
Young Bull, Francisco Arrieta.
If he can run those races at Oaklawn that he ran behind Bandit Point when he was placed second, I think he has a chance to be second or third.
Here's the big favorite, Garhole, trying to make it 4 straight.
You never want to concede races, but on paper, he's much the horse to beat.
And Reef's Destiny, big price outside, also trained by Robert Klein, who has the 2.
Yeah, I think that Robert Klein, the comedian, would probably look at this race and, of course, wonder why he's in here.
32 to 1 right now. He's faced some of these, including Garhole last time out. He was 8th of 9 in that field, beat 14 lengths. Let's go back to Jonathan.
Yeah, look, I've already expressed to you how I feel about the 9 Garhole, and yeah, it's racing, and things happen all the time, and, you know, one poor break away from there from the gate and find yourself in some trouble. Other horses can win. I would recommend playing this race with Garhole on top, with other horses underneath, and try to hook up in the exacta. One of them will be the 3 Tempt Fate. This is a horse that I thought ran well enough last time, got a nice speed figure, came in off a break since December. You'd like to think that they'll run a little bit better now, second time off of that break. This horse, if you look at throughout the career, he runs well fresh, but he also comes back and runs well second time around. So I'm hoping the 3 Tempt Fate, who's 4 to 1 on the board, could be one you look at underneath. And then also the 8 Young Bull. This is a horse that ran fast last time. Now, my concern is that was on a sloppy racetrack, and I believe sometimes sloppy racetracks are a little bit more challenging to make speed figures. But I like the draw for Young Bull. Should be towards the outside in the clear. Is tactical enough. Garhole should clear him from the outside, and hopefully Young Bull will come pick up some pizzas at the outside. He's 17 to 1 on the board. But the most important question is we got to help out Andy here. Gary, what is up with this name, Mrs. Beans?
Well, did you guys ever see the movie? I'm sure you did. Maybe you're too young, J.K., but Mrs. Doubtfire, Robin Williams. Well, Mrs. Beans, the horse, doesn't look like a Mrs. Big, stout, strong. So the only thing I can figure out is possibly there was a sale when Mrs. Beans was young. They told him that they were buying a filly. Some little girl named him Mrs. Beans, and they showed up, and he wasn't Mrs. Beans. Mr. Beans, the name, was already taken because there is a Mr. Beans. But in all seriousness, the horse looks good out on the racetrack, and why he's called Mrs. Beans, I have no idea. I'm going to talk a little bit about Tempt Fate here. I think that Tempt Fate is the only one that has a possibility of beating Garhole today, and that's if he goes back to his form last year. But this is his second race off of a layoff. Carl DeVille hits about 18%, second race off the type of layoff he's having, so it puts him in with a chance of improvement, but he's going to have to improve quite a bit today to beat Garhole. But I can tell you, his owner, Jerry Caroom, he has the best time at Oaklawn Park that any owner that I've ever been around. He's been out in the outdoor bar at the hotel, so he's in really good shape right now, excited, having fun, and supports the Arkansas business as big as anybody here with their breeding program. So I'm wishing him good luck and wishing you guys good luck as well.
All right, we'll see how it goes for Tempt Fate. I mean, it is such a neat experience to have a hotel right on the racetrack with the view that they have there in Hot Springs. It's incredible.
You know, it's when I stayed downtown when I was there before. It's all so close together, though. It's nice, but they just put that hotel in, and yeah, right on top of the racetrack. It sort of reminds me of that hotel they had when you could stay in your rooms at the stadium in Toronto.
Yeah.
You could watch the baseball games from your room.
Sky Dome, yeah.
I hope they take their time going to the gate here because they have been rushing getting to this race.
2-5 favorite. This horse, look, it's a big stepping stone race for this horse because he's run, depends where you look, but on some figures he's run races that warrant him getting a chance against not just Open Company, but maybe Open Stakes Company. And we'll see if he's impressive again today, if Shortleaf Stable and John Ortiz would make that decision. He's got to do it here first, though.
Yeah, we're going to have to agree to disagree on that, but he is lightly raced, I guess. We'll see. You know, also, I'm assuming that they're non-winners of ones and non-winners of twos. They don't include restricted races. He's running in restricted Arkansas-bred races, so my assumption after this race, he's still eligible for non-winners of one and non-winners of two open races. So maybe you want to try those. If they want to take a shot in the Count Fleet, they should have at it. It can't hurt, I guess, but I'll be surprised if he's. But we'll see. Maybe he'll run even bigger today.
Well, first things first. Can he make it 4 straight? Lost in his debut in the mud. Since then, and that was back on January 24th of 2021. He went to the bench for just about a year. And since he has come back, no one's been close to him. 3 wins by 13 1/4 lengths combined for Garhole. And with each race just getting more impressive as the competition has gotten a little bit tougher. And again, as we've talked about, for the most part, he's basically beat this group already.
He has. That's the thing. You know, you look through. I mean, horses lose sometimes, and they're going to be circling for a while. This is good. Horses lose sometimes because they don't show up. Radio days today. I don't know that she's good enough to have beaten Venti Valentine even if she ran a race, but she didn't show up. So it's possible that maybe he just doesn't show up, but based on his races, they're all running for second. I don't think he has an overwhelming edge over these horses, but he is better than them. And he could be improving. He's lightly raced.
Our producer brought up an interesting point, too, on the card here in New York today. Lone Speed, Chateau, odds on.
Right.
Things happen. He got beat.
No, I agree. Maybe we'll have a chance to show. We can probably show it now and talk about it. Yeah, let's show Chateau. They'll be in the gate in 5 or 10 minutes, maybe.
Earlier today, Grade 3 Tom Fool, and most believe it would just be a walkover here for Chateau, who had a huge pace advantage, not to mention a talent advantage as well, but he is unable to last.
No, I mean, he had absolutely no excuse in here and just got easily run down. Officiating, I think, was the horse that beat him. Came up for trainer Safi Joseph from down in Florida. He had really never run speed figures as good as most of the numbers that Chateau had run. And I think it's worth saying that Chateau did not show up and that's why he lost. I think you would probably agree.
Now, that was probably the biggest shocker of the card this afternoon. There were some big upsets, but this was the biggest. I mean, this is a horse who's very talented. Chateau was making his 7-year-old debut. Maybe he's just not come back as good, but just no response in the stretch here. The 5-horse Chateau getting past. He was on the lead by himself and officiating no problem getting by. I think he won by 4 lengths in the end.
No, he just blew by Chateau. I mean, Chateau's at times has not run his races, but he just wasn't good enough for this horse. He put up no fight. He says, but yeah, you're right. I mean, listen, that's why they run races. The horse that looks the best going in does not always win. Obviously, Garhole has been handling these horses, so he's going to lose this race if he doesn't run his race in all likelihood, because he's demonstrated already that he's just better than the horses in here. We'll see.
He's the 1-2 favorite from post 9, trying to make it 4 consecutive wins. Trained by John Ortiz, owned by Shortleaf Stable, and Ricardo Santana Jr. will ride. It is the no double breeders 6-furlong sprint. Just saw him cross by there in the background. He has been odds on throughout. He actually opened up at 1-5 early on in the wagering, and he has not moved above 1-2. Vic Stauffer with the call on the Saturday feature.
The last 2 to load are Big Success and Reef's Destiny. They're at the post. They're off. Tempt Fate wins the break. Mrs. Beans ducked in very sharply coming out of the chute and messed it all up. Tempt Fate, Blame JD, a close Garhole in the center, Reef's Destiny, and Supercharger. These 5 right across the track. Then comes Young Bull, followed by KJ's Mobility and Bandit Point, Big Success. And the trouble at the start has Mrs. Beans at the back of the pack. Blame JD has taken the lead going into the far turn from Garhole, who's in second. Blame JD, 3/4 of a length. Garhole is second by a tight length to Reef's Destiny, Tempt Fate, and Supercharger. KJ's Nobility is at the rail with 3 lengths to make up. Young Bull just outside of him. 2.5 back to Big Success and Bandit Point. Mrs. Bean still the trailer, and here's Garhole to make his move. Garhole at the top of the stretch has now taken over the lead from Blame JD in second. Tempt Fate is third, but he's 3.5 behind. Supercharger is next, and Garhole is running away and putting on another show. Garhole now suddenly 5 lengths in front. Bandit Point with his patented late stretch run. He might get into second, but he is not going to catch an Arkansas bred star, Garhole, in front. Garhole won by 5.5. Supercharger was second, Bandit Point third. Close for fourth between Mrs. Beans and KJ's Nobility.
He has been fun to watch. Now a 4-time winner at this meet. Garhole just toys with this field.
I think that's the absolute perfect word, Greg. This was a joke. I mean, you could see it just watching the race. It's just like he's sitting on a keg of dynamite the whole way, and it's just once he sort of asked him a little bit in the stretch, and he did ride him pretty hard the wire, to be fair. I mean, he's riding this horse, but it's a nice horse. A nice performance, by the way, by the long shot, the number 6 to get second in this race, Supercharger, but Garhole. I think they call that winning like a 2-5 shot should.
Looked like value at 2-5. The way he won.
I agree.
He's won 4 in a row now, beaten up on Arkansas bred competition. Clearly the best of the ARC breds. Where does he go from here?
I mean, I can't blame the connections for thinking about a race like the Count Fleet. Why not? And so he loses. I mean, he might win. I'm just saying, if he loses, nothing lost. And the other thing is, he's an Arkansas bred, but they could ship him to Churchill Downs and try nominals and ones. You know what I mean? It's not. You see what happens with him. This is a nice horse, and you know what? Enjoy the moment now.
Dominant victory. Ricardo Santana Jr., the big look behind him. It was a long way back. Dominant here as he reels off 4 consecutive wins now. Nice little sprinter. Bred in the state of Arkansas, taking the feature here on this Saturday card. We'll be back right after this.
Charlatan is back, and he turns it on with 1/8 of a mile to go. Express Train moves into second. Nashville dropping out of it, and then Collusion Illusion. What a spectacular return turn for Charlatan, who will romp in the run-happy Malibu Stakes by 4.5 emphatic lengths. Charlatan, ultra impressive.
It's a new day for a new king.
The Thoroughbred Owner Conference is back in person for the first time in 3 years and is being held in the new 1863 Club at Saratoga Racecourse, July 25th and 26th. Attendees enjoy 9 ownership topics with an impressive list of speakers, along with social events to meet other owners and network, an opening reception at the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame, a conference dinner, and an afternoon of racing at Saratoga. It's the 2022 Thoroughbred Owner Conference, July 25th and 26th. See you in Saratoga.
Like father, like son, the start of Palace Malice's career at stud closely resembles that of his sire, Curlin. Curlin was the sire of 2 first crop graded stakes winners, while Palace Malice was the sire of 3 first crop graded stakes winners.
Subsequent to Structer's Breeders' Cup victory, he attracted a stellar group of 200 outstanding mares who will shape the future of this promising young son of Curlin.
With his best crop of yearlings to date, now is the time to breed.
Back on America's Day at the Races. There's one of the best views in the entire sport out in Hot Springs. Program brought to you in part by America's Best Racing, by the way. Let's take a look again at Garhole in action. Keep your eyes on the inside. The one, Mrs. Beans, does not get out of the gate all that sharp. And in a terrible position from there.
It just keeps getting worse and worse for poor Mrs. Beans, doesn't it? Cannot catch a break out there.
Not even on your screen right now, but actually would wind up 4th.
No, good effort by her. I still don't think she was beating, or he was beating Garhole.
Nobody in the state of Arkansas was beating Garhole today.
No, he was
4
good.
straight for this horse.
He was good today. No
And we'll
doubt.
see what, the number comes back. I mean, he has steadily, start by start, been getting better figures. So we'll see what he finishes up at today. 109 the final time for the 6 furlongs.
He's no double, but he's an awfully nice horse. He delivered. You know, they're heavy favorites for a reason, but he ran like one. He didn't disappoint. Sometimes, a heavy favorite wins by a head. You think, well, he won, but he was kind of disappointing. Not this guy. He just keeps showing up and running big races. He's just too good for these. Like a wind-up toy.
He is like, Ricardo had to feel like he had a cake of dynamite underneath him.
It's just, this was, you hate to watch races and you're saying to yourself, we should have been in a place, Greg. That's what show. How about 260 to show?
What a gift.
It really was. We got to start making show more, you and I. The cross-country pick 5, I believe, paid $130. The parlay was $35 to $40.
Pays to play, be part of the action. And it was about as formful as the biggest price in the whole sequence was 5 to 1. Outside of that, it was all even money or lower.
Yeah, I will say that I think, maybe the first-time star that was even money that won at Tampa, people used other horses. It was a firster. The second winner, the other stake at Oaklawn, was that really an even money shot or 6 to 5 shot in the sequence? But still, that's an awfully terrific payoff, and it shows what a great bet that was. You say $130.50. There were a 280 horse and 3 even money shots, basically. And the other horse was the second or third choice in a 5-horse field. Amazing.
It was an overlay.
It was an overlay also, right.
Yeah.
It was an automatic use.
One more to come in Hot Springs. They're going to close out the card with a maiden special weight, mile and a 16th. So everybody trying to get that first win on the resume. 3-year-old fillies in this group. And Biguine outside for Danny Pite's 2 sprints, stretching out now to a mile and a 16th. Gunrunner filly.
Yeah, I think he's the horse to beat. I just worry a little bit about that post, Greg? He's got speed, but there's other speed in the race. That concerns me a little bit. Look at that payout.
Even money, 5 to 1, even money, odds on.
$100, it's really easy. It's a $140 parlay for $2. That's $35, and it paid $130.
How many times did you have it?
Not as many as a friend of mine.
We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. Big day on the road to the Triple Crown, not just here in New York, but all across the country. Morello, sensational performance in the Grade 3 Gotham, and it is now on to the Wood Memorial after that performance. He's undefeated. And the Fountain of Youth will show you what happened in Florida. Simplification. Impressive.
They're off in the hopeful. Here's Basin now running up alongside, and Basin grabs the lead. Basin and Jose Ortiz are running away in the hopeful.
Back on America's Day at the Races on FS2 program, brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. Huge day on this road to the first Saturday in May and the Run for the Roses, including here in New York, Grade 3 Gotham. And Morello stepped up and was made a very short price, and he lived up to the billing.
Yeah. I mean, we liked him. We felt even money might have been overdoing it a little bit. The way he ran, it wasn't overdoing it. This is a horse who has a really nice future. This is an exciting win.
Didn't break great in his debut, as we talked about. Showed a lot more professionalism, that Jimmy Wingfield. And then this race here, he took another big step forward, it looks like.
You know, he broke so well in this race. He put himself right in the race. And watching the race earlier, Dean's List, who is a very fast horse, and 23-2 on this racetrack is a very solid fraction. It's not as though they were crawling. And just watching the difference between the way the two horses were being ridden, and you can even see it now. Manny Franco was sort of all in on Dean's List, who ran a decent second around the turn, 3/8 of the half mile. And Jose Lezcano was just sitting on top of Morello. And I mean, he asked him a little bit in the stretch, but this was I mean, look at him. He's sort of riding him along, but this is the very definition of ridden out, wouldn't you say?
Yeah,
I mean, he's not even being, I mean, this is closer to handily.
Yeah.
This is a very, very facile win.
Going to be fun to see him go 2 turns in 1 1/8 in the Wood Memorial in what will be the final test before hopefully moving on to the Kentucky Derby. Congratulations to these connections. Steve Asmussen, there's one big race out there he has not won. It's the Kentucky Derby.
And they've got Epicenter, who's one of the ones right now, too, off that big win in the Risen Star. So that barn is sitting in a pretty good spot. I hope he's got a few shares in Gunrunner, too. That's probably paying off pretty handsomely to him. That feels like a what do you call it? I'm losing the word, but something that's going to pay off every year. going to get better and better the way he's done with his first crop.
Yeah. Fountain of Youth from Florida, grade 2, and moments before the gate broke in here, Simplification, who was 5-2 in the morning line, was about 9-2. That changed.
I said to you, Simplification is 9-2, and you said to me, well, he's the worst to beat. That's ridiculous. We should be betting on him. And I feel like the 5-2 still wasn't a bad price.
No, coming off that second in the Holy Bull against White, Abario. Mo Donegal was third in there, and turns out to be Simplification's day in the Fountain of Youth.
Yeah, he was much better than these after getting left in his other race. And Emmanuel was disappointing in running fourth here. A nice performance by the Not This Time horse. The number 4 In Due Time getting second, but Simplification won it easily. There was a bit of an incident around the turn involving the 2 Bill Mott horses. I know one of them, High Oak. I was texting his owner, Leon Seidler, and he appears to be okay. That's good news. But Simplification, he's okay.
Won the Mucho Macho Man to start off the year. That was back on New Year's Day. Then he was second in that Holy Bull when he kind of threw his head at the break. I mean, he was one of the horses to beat going into that race, and he had a compromised beginning.
Not clear he'd run the best race in running second that day, and the way he ran today, it's hard to argue with somebody that has that opinion.
Son of Not This Time, as you mentioned, for Antonio Sano. Jose Ortiz aboard for the victory. Simplification takes the Fountain of Youth. Meanwhile, out on the West Coast, grade 2 San Felipe and Bob Baffert with Doppelganger, Richard Mandela, Forbidden Kingdom. Those look like the 2 to beat going into the race.
I don't know what happened. This is going to be a big surprise. Well, I like Forbidden Kingdom right now. He would be the one running for points, right?
He would for the Mandela barn.
I'm going to say he got them.
He did.
Thank you, Greg.
He won
that's
pretty
why
convincingly
I'm
here.
on TV.
San Vicente winner in his 3-year-old debut, gate to wire, and even more impressive in this performance on the stretch out.
Yeah, now this. Oh yeah, this is a mile and a 16th. I mean, this is. Once again, I don't know what kind of numbers he's getting, but it feels like Richard Mandela is putting himself on the map for the Derby with a run like that. When's the last time he had a Derby horse?
He had a horse who probably would have been the favorite, right, but didn't get to go in the Kentucky Derby just a few years ago.
I forgot that. That's right.
Ultra talented.
Oh, yeah, he didn't make it to the Derby, did he?
He did not.
Yeah, that's right. I saw him win the Arkansas Derby when I was there. Seems so long ago.
We had a race on the road to the Kentucky Oaks as well. Here that preceded the Gotham, and Radio Days took a ton of attention on the board, was an odds-on favorite, trying to get her first win of her 3-year-old campaign. She had no response in the stretch. Venti Valentine, New York-bred filly, looks very impressive winning this race.
You know, sometimes in these kind of prep races, when a heavy favorite, especially in a small field, doesn't show up, you end up saying, well, this horse won, but, the favorite didn't show up, and it was kind of a slow. This was, if Radio Days showed up and ran a race, I still think she would have finished no better than second in this race. Venti Valentine, this was a terrific performance and a nice win for Jorge Abreu. Of course, you're not familiar with him. He was an assistant for Chad Brown, but he's been doing very well on his own. And Venti Valentine, she got 50 points to the Oaks. The winner of this race last year, search results, was a tough beat second in the Kentucky Oaks. And we could have another very live New York bred going there.
And, the next stop, obviously, is going to be at 1 1/8, but she already showed she runs pretty good at 1 1/8 in that Demoiselle to end her 2-year-old campaign.
I agree. She covered a lot of ground in that race. She took a bump in the stretch. She was game down the stretch. That was her 3rd star as a 2-year-old. I don't think we saw anything about her, and we've seen her races that suggest she's going to have a problem with the Gazelle. I don't know if other horses will ship in or who's going to play in there, but what's wrong with her?
If you had to make a leader right now in the clubhouse for the Kentucky Derby,
Zandon.
It would be.
Yeah, for me, yeah. I mean, he's not the horse that's done the most in the racetrack. He should have been placed first in the Remsen. I thought he ran very well in his return race, but he's the one that I like going forward. But there's a lot of horses out there. How about you? Do you have a shot? Do you have an idea?
I'm going to let it sort itself out. It's too wide open right now. I love what I saw from Morello, though. He's exciting.
No, I agree. He is exciting. I agree.
Yeah.
And I love those connections, so I'm rooting for those guys. And we got a hat.
Exactly.
It's all about the hats.
We are going to take a timeout. We still got one more coming up to close out the card at Oaklawn, and we're going to preview tomorrow's action, the Heavenly Prize Stakes. We'll have a look ahead when we return. Stick with us. Maiden Beauty going to try and make it 3 straight.
Introducing a stallion as top class as they come. In 22 career starts, he won or placed in 12 graded stakes, competing in 15 grade ones, earning over $1.7 million. His undisputed speed is evidenced by 7 100-plus Spire speed figures, a 3-time grade 1 winner, Raging Bull.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than America'sBestRacing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. America'sBestRacing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Run Happy, the #1 second crop sire by graded stakes winners and earnings. Run Happy is represented by Smile Happy, the Kentucky Derby individual future pool favorite. A leading dirt sire and now with an exciting Kentucky Derby hopeful. Call Bernie Sams now and book your mare to Eclipse champion Run Happy right now. Run Happy standing in stall 1 at Claiborne Farm.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
And Heavenly Prize is taken over. Heavenly Prize is in front at the back at the top of the stretch, and Lakeway is trying to battle back valiantly, but it is Heavenly Prize who passes the 8th pole with the lead by a length and a half. Lakeway is being left behind in second here at the Graveyard of Champions. Heavenly Prize is going on to win it, and she'll win here by 5.
Going into that race, Lakeway, who was the 1-5 favorite, her Hall of Fame trainer, Gary Jones, had said she looked like the best filly to come along since Ruffian. Heavenly Prize dominated and went on to become a superstar off that performance.
In fairness to Gary Jones, I don't think a lot of people were arguing too strongly against him in there. She had absolutely buried Inside Information in the Mother Goose back at Belmont Park. And Inside Information, who was the stablemate of Heavenly Prize, was a brilliant, brilliant racehorse who won the Breeders' Cup filly and mare distaff. Heavenly Prize won her first 2 career starts. She actually broke her maiden the same day as Inside Information at Belmont, and then she won the Frizette. She didn't run that well with not the best of trips out in California in the Breeders' Cup. And she had been a big disappointment starting out her 3-year-old year. I loved her. I mean, loved her, and was so disappointed in her. And she comes back in this race. I think she was 6-1. And Lakeway just looked absolutely unbeatable. I think she had gone back to California and won before coming for the Alabama. And I can still remember I was standing on a stairway watching the race near the finish line at Saratoga. And it was just so exciting watching Heavenly Prize come back and show what she could do on the racetrack. Lakeway, in all fairness, may have had an issue with that. It never came back as good as she was before it, but Heavenly Prize went on to some huge wins in her career. And the Alabama was really the race that got her back on track.
How about that, debuting Heavenly Prize and Inside Information? They split the race on the same day they debuted for Shug McGahee. Incredible.
A memorable day at Belmont Park in the fall of 1993 for sure.
Tomorrow, Heavenly Prize, 1 turn mile. It goes race 7 on the Sunday card. Maiden Beauty, going to try and make it 3 consecutive wins.
I don't like her at all in this race. I think she took advantage of a big track bias last time out that dressed her up, and I think that she is extremely vulnerable in this race. I think Sharp Star can beat her. Another New York bred. I like the horse that won the ladies, actually. I'm going to give you a little advanced information because we'll be doing talking horses together. I know you like to cheat. You can look at the website for all my picks, by the way, if you want to throw some horses out. I think Maiden Beauty is all dressed up with nowhere to go. Apologies to her connections.
But where she's going to be in this race?
In front.
Right.
But isn't she going to have some pressure by a horse towards the inside of her? The 2 horse in this race. I have to imagine that she's going to be going Bank Sting. And I'll tell you something about Bank Sting. See, she's the opposite. In her last race, she was chasing outside. We talked about it in yesterday's show. She won despite being against the bias last time out. So I think Bank Sting is better than she looks, and Maiden Beauty is not as good as she looks.
Although the filly she did get by didn't come back and really impress. Eloquent speaker.
That would be kind.
Still one to come out in Hot Springs. A finale on the Saturday card at Oaklawn. Again, maiden special weight, mile and a 16th. It's still favoritism to this Gunrunner filly who's going to be stretching out after 2 sprints. She has a bullet 5 furlong work as well coming into this spot for the stretch out. Here's the one, though. Martin Garcia, rider change.
Yeah, off the claim for a trainer who is 1 for 26 off the claim with dirt routers over the last 5 years.
Decade of Dreams, Robertino Diodoro.
Yeah, we'll see. With Decade of Dreams, this is a horse that's stretching out for the second start. Not great numbers for Diodoro this move.
American Pharaoh filly, the 3 Madeline's Magic. She had a big number sprinting 2 starts back.
I thought she was dangerous in this race. I didn't think she was impossible.
Midnight Mistress, Steve Asmussen, and Florent Geroux.
A little bit interesting. Another one stretching out her second start, gets a rider change. She didn't run well first time, though.
Star Table at 5-1, taking money with Tiago Pereira.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of this horse, but the last race was the best figure that she's ever run.
Could be the dirt debut for Bello Runner. Has only been on synthetic so far.
Why is he running this horse on the synthetic? This is a big pedigree. The Dam was an extremely good horse, Todd Pletcher. I'm betting on Bello Runner.
Gun Runner filly at 7-2 right now. Run the tap, blinkers off.
Yeah, it would have to improve for Ken McPeak.
And with scratches, we go to the favorite from the outside for Danny Pites with the leading rider at the meet.
Well, the scratches really do help this horse, right? I mean, it's not that you lost speeds, but you go in from post 11 to post 8. That really makes a difference, and always rooting for my friend Danny Pites.
Now with more on the favorite, let's go to Gary Stevens.
Yeah, guys, I like the look of Bagain. I didn't love him sprinting last time out. He looks like a colt that is going to enjoy a route of ground. He is by Gunrunner, but he's a big, long striding colt that I think that this stretch out is going to help him. Don't really have any more to say about this particular race, but I do want to solve the case of Mrs. Beans. I've got a good friend here in Hot Springs, Dr. Kyle Roper, that gave me a lead on this. And what this says is named for Bonnie Beans Whitehead, wife of legendary trainer David Whitehead, who trained the Colts Dam, multiple Oaklawn stakes winner, all about Allie. Case closed, Jonathan. Who do you like in here?
Hey, that's some reporting right there. I tell you what. Look, I thought there's 2 horses that were interesting in here, and I'm not overly creative. The 7 Bello Runner. This is a horse that took money on debut and took money in the second start as well for Steve Asmussen. But this is a horse that's been running on a synthetic surface, finally getting a chance to run on the dirt. And I'm hoping that maybe that's the difference to kind of help get this one over the hump. And 7-2, I think, seems like a fair price. And then towards the outside, the 11. This is a horse whose last speed figure makes me feel very confident in this horse. But not only that, this horse was wide the entire time, lost a lot of ground. So if you take that into consideration, the horse ran even better than it looks on paper. Third start of the career. You'd like to think there's going to be another step forward after that. To be fair, I'd take the 3-2 on the 11 Beguine to the outside.
Short price, I mean, there's a lot to like, and especially the biggest thing, as you talked about, with the 3 scratches in here, is not going to be stuck all the way outside.
No, I have absolutely no argument that he's the worst, that she's the worst to beat in this race. I don't disagree. I'm going to bet the 7. Now, with Bello Runner, I think the problem with Bello Runner, Greg, I think you need to remind people of something about the 7 o'clock.
Well, yeah, we need to get this race run.
Yeah,
we're going to be off the air no matter what at 7 Eastern.
Right, it should get the race off. Should be able to watch it. We've got 6 minutes, but just letting people know. As far as Bello Runner, this is a dirt pedigree. Got a Gun Runner. What's the video we're watching? Okay. She had a wide trip in here. This is a horse that's supposed to be running on the dirt. The Dam run triple-digit buyers for Todd Pletcher. Winning dirt races, good dirt races, a very good horse, Gun Runner, a dirt sire. So you have to ask yourself, why does Steve Asmussen send this horse to Turfway? Did he have too many horses at Oaklawn and he had to split them up a little bit? Did he not like the way the horse was training on the dirt? Maybe he thought he'd take a shot in the turf? They're obviously very smart. It's not like you see Steve Asmussen running an abundance of horse in these situations, but he's coming here to the dirt, and in my opinion, this is the surface that she belongs on. Now, it may be that he shipped her there because he said, she never showed me anything in the morning on the dirt. I'm going to try a synthetic surface with this pedigree, hope she can run. But I'm going to hope that the dirt is going to be the answer for a horse that will clearly have to improve, wide trip or not. This horse needs to improve substantially off those races on synthetic to be a contender here, especially if the 11 shows up.
We'll find out if she can do it, if she's up to the task. David Cabrera teaming up with Steve Asmussen. It's so interesting. That's been one of the neater things, too, with that relationship. It used to be all Ricardo Santana Jr. riding for Steve Asmussen, but now you're seeing a lot of these different riders riding for Steve, which is kind of interesting, too. And Cabrera getting the opportunity here.
I think it's working out in a way, oddly, for everybody, right? And the other thing that's nice is to get to see guys. I enjoyed watching these races from Oaklawn. We're seeing David Cabrera. We're seeing Francisco Arrieta. We're seeing riders that we're not that familiar with. And these guys can ride. You know, we see all the guys that are here in New York. We see in Kentucky. These guys are good riders.
3-2 favorite, the outside runner. Daughter of Gun Runner for Danny Pites. And you see that blanket on this horse loading in. They'll do that a lot. Sometimes these horses be a little claustrophobic in that starting gate, and that blanket will just pull away when the gates open.
I actually have to put a blanket on Greg when I get off the set. Sometimes I know you're a little bit skittish at coming on the set, so we cover you up.
I don't like the lights.
It is a little bit bright in here, isn't it?
A lot of lights on us right now, especially when it gets dark out here.
Got dark quick on us.
There's the 7, Bella Runner. So will she take to the dirt? 3 Chimneys Farm, Asmussen, and David Cabrera. Nightcap from Oaklawn on this Saturday card. Vic Stauffer has the call.
Last to load, Begin. They're at the post. They're off. Slow start, Emediaz. Fast start, Begin and Midnight Mistress. Decade of Dreams comes away in a third, then Bella Runner and Star Table. Madeline's Magic is third last, then Run the Tap, and the slow start has Emediaz at the back of the pack. Begin crosses and clears, and look at her pumped up to the backside. Begin is now a 4-length leader over Bella Runner, a absolutely cantankerous rank. Decade of Dreams, who's going to run up into second, and she's not going to settle down till she gets all the way up to challenge Begin. Meanwhile, Midnight Mistress is fourth at the rail with Star Table fifth, and a length and a half to Run the Tap in sixth. 3.5 back to Madeline's Magic. Emediaz is the trailer as they run up the backstretch. Francisco Arrieta going for his third win on the day, and he's got Begin in charge. Begin at the half-mile pole leads Decade of Dreams by 2 lengths. Then comes Maryland's Mistress down at the rail to the outside Star Table, and Bella Runner just inside of her. Run the Tap is next, then Madeline's Magic, and Emediaz has trailed throughout. That was Midnight Mistress at the rail, and Begin is the leader, and now Star Table starts to run after her. So Begin is in front at the quarter pole. She's got a 3-length lead on Star Table, who is running after her, and she's catching within 2.5 now of the lead. Madeline's Magic is next. Top of the stretch, Begin and Star Table. Begin still there. She's got a 2-length lead over Star Table, who is trying to come after her, but Begin has got something left, and she still leads. Begin, a 3-length lead. Star Table is running a good one, but it's going to be second best to Francisco Arrieta, and Begin. 3 wins for the meet's leading rider. Begin in front. Begin won by 2. Star Table was second. Madeline's Magic third. Run the Tap, finish fourth.
This race appeared to be over a few jumps after the starting gate opened.
Yeah, this was, we've seen a number of sort of rocking chair wins today, Greg, right? You know, you saw the 6 in that full-out drive trying to catch up to this horse. Arrieta's just sitting chilly on Begin and held the 6 safe down the stretch. A little duck out there at the 16th pole, but much the best. And we found out with my 7-horse, Bella Runner, she's not very good on synthetic. She's even worse on the dirt. Yeah. She's just not a good horse.
Not a big performance there. Begin handling that stretch out with her speed. It's no problem against this field to break her maiden start number 3. We are back tomorrow, 3 Eastern start time on FS2 as Venti Valentine, the New York bred, on the road to the Kentucky Oaks. Dominant performance in the Busher. Meanwhile, on the road to the Kentucky Derby, how about Morello? What a performance. Now a perfect 3 for 3 off that win in the Jimmy Winkfield. Now gets some Derby points, and it's on to the Wood Memorial. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 Eastern.